Welcome to those who've just been watching Bundesliga on Fox Sports 2. This is America's Day at the Races. It is Empire Showcase Day, showcasing New York breds here in Elmont, New York. Our show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today we have 6 stakes races coming up. Fans coming out with their families to check out the action on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon here at Belmont Park. Greg Wolf alongside former champion jockey Richard Migliori, 2015 NHC Tour champion. Brought out the green jacket for us today, Jonathan Kinchin. We're going to see newly minted later today in the distaff, putting that perfect dirt record on the line, but coming up immediately here in the Empire Classic, the rematch between Pat on the Back and Mr. Buff. Pat on the Back coming off the biggest performance and win of his career in that Grade 2 Kelso.
Yeah, hard fought performance there. The thing about Pat on the Back, the last 2 starts, one sprinting and then next stretching out to a mile, he was a bit keen, and I just wonder if that's not going to play a little bit into how this mile and eighth is run.
Yeah, look, I think Pat on the Back's going to sit a perfect trip here. What really matters, I think the biggest important horse in this race is not that Brady, and what does he do? Does he go to the front? Does he put some pressure on Mr. Buff, or is Mr. Buff loose on the lead? Mr. Buff likes the mile and an eighth. Pat on the Back can win at the mile and an eighth. I'm not sure it's his preferred distance. If they hook up, I think Pat on the Back will pick him up.
We'll see. Not That Brady, the 3-year-old, blinkers coming off, and he is quick. We'll see if he impedes things for Mr. Buff as we head down trackside and check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, Greg, we actually had a little bit of a delay as far as the post spray is concerned in regards to number 3, Pat on the Back. His bridle had actually slipped up and was about to come over his ears, so we had to get that adjusted back in the paddock, but that was fine. That's besides the point. He looks fantastic. I just wonder, although he is the defending champ of this race, if a mile and an eighth is really best for him. I really feel as though that mile is the most ideal distance, whereas number 4, Mr. Buff, he looks every bit of a mile and an eighth type of horse. Just big, scopy. He looks sensational this year, and that's really been the case for the last couple months in regards to his campaign. Yes, what does Not That Brady do? He was awfully sharp still, guys, even with those blinkers off. So it'll be Junior Alvarado's decision to make of what he does with Mr. Buff when they spring the latch. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. We talk about it all the time on this show. Luis Saez, he'll be on board the 5, Not That Brady. We know how aggressive he is as a rider, so you would think that horse is going to gun to the front. So Junior on board this one right here. Have a decision to make early, Mig.
I think you just let your horse run straight out of the chute. You got a long run to the turn. You're not losing any ground on straightaways. So if the outside horse, Not That Brady, goes, let him clear and drop over, and now you're galloping in the perfect spot. Second, we saw Mr. Buff, when he broke bad in the Evan Shipman in Saratoga, be able to sit and get it done. I think Mr. Buff, the mile and an eighth, his record speaks for itself. Jonathan, 6 wins from 9 starts.
Look, being on the front end in these longer distance races, the 9 furlong, it's where you want to be.
Pat on the Back, though, beat Mr. Buff at a mile and an eighth in this race last year. It's the Empire Classic. As we get started here on Fox Sports 2, let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Mr. Buff moving into line, Not That Brady. Coming up to the outside stall will be the last of 5 here. And they're all in line. They're off in the Empire Classic. Mr. Buff comes out of there sharply. Not That Brady on the outside with some early foot as well. So these two will dispute the pace, and Not That Brady to the front. Mr. Buff is going to sit right behind him. Pat on the Back is close up and is third on the outside. Then Bluegrass Cat Smile and Dynamax Prime is the trailer as the field races up the backstretch. It is Not That Brady in front through a 23.91 opening quarter mile. Mr. Buff allowed to settle just behind them. Pat on the Back keeps him company, though, and it's just a half length off of Mr. Buff up the backstretch. And then comes Bluegrass Cat Smile, fourth by another 2.5. Dynamax Prime is the trailer. Up the backstretch, Not That Brady with running room at the rail for Mr. Buff, and Junior Alvarado decides to go right now. And they've taken the lead after a 47.38 half. So it is now Mr. Buff who has taken over, racing for the far turn. Not That Brady is a half length behind, running in second. Dylan Davis still waiting and patient with Pat on the Back in third, 2.5 lengths off of them. Break of another 3, back to Dynamax Prime, and then Bluegrass Cat Smile around the far turn. In the Empire Classic, and Mr. Buff leads the way by 3/4 of a length. Not That Brady has come under pressure. Pat on the back, edges up alongside, now takes second. Dynamax Prime is out there 3 wide as Mr. Buff turns for home on the lead. Mr. Buff off the turn in front. Pat on the back. The defending champion is 2 lengths behind as they arrive at the 8th pole. Dynamax Prime is running a big one on the far outside. Mr. Buff, another furlong to go. Still in front by 2.5. Dynamax Prime has taken second on the outside. Pat on the back is third as they come down to the wire. It is Mr. Buff in the Empire Classic. Dynamax Prime was second, Pat on the back was third, and Bluegrass Cat Smile was fourth.
Mr. Buff turns the tables, beat in this race last year by Pat on the back. Picks up the 11th win of his career.
I just think he's a little bit better horse this year. He's in better form. And that decisive move heading to the far turn by Junior Alvarado to not allow Not That Brady to drop over and shoot up the inside and count on this horse's stamina. Because watch him run, Jonathan. He never looks like he's traveling fast because he's got such a big, long stride, but he just stays.
No, I completely agree. Junior made a decisive decision back about the half-mile pole where he took that spot inside. If it wouldn't have worked out, the internet would have been blaming him for moving early. But that's the perfect ride, the perfect decision to get in there, because otherwise he would have had to circle around horses. And, I don't think he was going to get beat either way here, but it might have made a difference with Dynamax Pride, who was running at him.
He is a big boy, 17.2 hands, Mr. Buff. And he is in the form of his life right now. You got a quick look there at John Kimmel, who's done a tremendous job with this horse. Coming into this race, Mig, he usually works this horse solo. He said he knew we had a big challenge going up against Pat on the back. Worked him with a horse named Harris Bay, who we're going to see later in the Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, a 2-year-old Harris Bay worked with Mr. Buff, so that certainly compliments him. And Dynamax Prime was second, even though the board just said that Pat on the back was second. So anybody playing, just so you know, it was Dynamax Prime second.
And after watching that stretch run again, I actually feel a little bit more confident in my initial thought that if Mr. Buff wouldn't have made that inside move, if he would have tried to circle around Not That Brady and go around him there, I think he would have gotten beat.
Well, and he's in a position where he looks to his right, and he's got Pat on the back, basically kind of keeping the door closed if he wanted to get out of the pocket. So you know what? Let me go forward. Let me have confidence. John Kimmel, terrific horseman, a good friend of mine, but just a terrific horseman, a veterinarian as well. And speaking to him this morning, he thought this horse and Harris Bay were doing fabulous.
You've told it to me all summer, Mig. A lot of good 2-year-olds for Kimmel this year, including Harris Bay, who many didn't expect to be that good first time out. He won at almost 12-1 in the debut. We're going to see him later today in the 8th race in that Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, John won the Sleepy Hollow, actually with Mr. Buff's grandfather, Friends Lake. And that, just to give you an idea of how far back I go with the family, I rode this horse's great-grandmother as well as his grandfather. So I guess I'm just old.
You're getting there. You're getting there. I thought Pat on the
Young
back.
at heart, though.
I thought Pat on the back was, at the 3-5 favorite. I think that he was a little bit keen on the backside. Richie, I talked to you about it in the middle of the show. He kind of was throwing his head a little bit.
Yeah, and you could see Dylan was doing his best to get him some cover. He's a horse that switches off better when he gets in behind a horse, and he finally did, get him to settle. But I think 1.1 miles, as keen as he's been, Pat on the back, is just a little out of his reach when he's that keen. I don't think Dylan could have done anything different.
Well, this horse in the form of his life, but really, this is a big win because Pat on the back had been in the form of his life as well, including that coveted graded stakes victory last time out.
Well, absolutely, and that really set Pat up on the back up for a stallion career someplace, probably upstate New York. There is Chester Broman with his wife, Chester and Mary Broman, usually the leading breeders in the state of New York, and his father, Mr. Buff's father, friend or foe, Mr. Broman campaigned, wound up giving him to a woman in Virginia for $1 as long as he had the right to breed 4 or 5 mares to him a year. And Friend or Foe is a big hunter jumper now, a very accomplished hunter jumper, and he's still a whole horse.
Wow, that's a good story. And of course, you talked about the grandfather being Friends Lake. Yep. You had some big moments on.
Yeah, well, Friends Lake won the Sleepy Hollow here. We'll see Harris Bay later, and he also won the Florida Derby. Only New York bred ever win the Florida Derby.
Were you?
Oh, I was aboard.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay, I wasn't sure, but I thought you were on board for that
Yeah.
win. 3-2, Mr. Buff. Early pick 5 concludes here, $234 return, but this is a nice win here. These are some veteran, gritty New York breds, and this horse closing in on at some point. $1 million not out of reach for Mr. Buff.
No, not out of reach at all. Pat on the back went over the $1 million last time. Mr. Buff banging on it. I remember back in the 80s, the first New York bred to earn $1 million was a horse named Win, with yours truly aboard. But it shows you how far New York breds come. We've got a lot of millionaires now.
Junior Alvarado aboard for the win on Mr. Buff as we go downstairs to Maggie.
Here with winning trainer John Kimmel and Mr. Buff again picking up a stakes victory. And John, the 1 1/8, he just unravels that massive stride that he has.
I mean, for a big horse, he got a big stride, and you know, we were kind of hoping it would be a 2-turn 1 1/8, but when they decided the construction was not bothering the horses here, they kept the race here. And you know, he got beat by this horse, Pat on the back, last year, and we always thought 2 turns was better because he has trouble getting that last lead change. And down the stretch, I'm going, change your lead, change your lead. He said, I had plenty of horse, so I didn't want to, like, ruin his momentum by forcing him to change.
What's funny is you watch him and he doesn't look like he's running fast, but he's just so much bigger than anybody else.
He's about as big as a horse I've ever been around. He's at least 17.2 last time I measured him. When I put the tack on him today, he seemed like he was bigger.
It's such a funny juxtaposition. I hear you worked Harris Bay, who you're sending out in the Sleepy Hollow, next to Mr. Buff. How is he doing coming up?
He's doing very well. You know, they were both in hand. It was a nice breeze. And actually, I wanted to give Mr. Buff a little competition, you know, because I figured he's going to be running into this horse today that he had been almost 6 weeks since his last race. And I wanted to make sure he was pretty sharp. And Junior said, God, when they put a horse next to him, he grabbed him a lot harder than he does by working by himself.
Well, John, go get your presentation. Congratulations. A great campaign here for Mr. Buff this year.
Yeah, he's a fun horse to be around. Mrs. Buff might show up next year.
Oh, I like that. All right, little dip into the future.
Little sister.
Oh, very cool. I like that, John. All right, very cool. Congrats, and maybe we'll see John Kimmel a little bit later as well as Harris Bay. He looks to be holding a strong hand later on in that Sleepy Hollow, Greg.
Yeah, very intrigued to see him come back. Right now, though, it's all about the Buffs.
All about the Buffs. And actually, I was up at Mr. Bowman's farm when Mrs. Buff got back from the sale. They were looking to sell her. They wound up bringing her home, and that's what they were saying they were going to name her.
Track conditions for this afternoon, they're brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray at Belmont Park. Piranha on and pests gone. The main track is faster, of course, firm for today's action on Empire Showcase Day as we get New York breds all afternoon long. That was a fun one to kick it off here on our program as we'll bring you races 6 through 11 still ahead with 5 more stake races remaining, including that Sleepy Hollow where John Kimmel will have Harris Bay off a big debut at better than 11:01. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Mr. Buff, John Kimmel, Chester Mary Broman, Junior Alvarado get the job done in the Empire Classic. Newly minted in the Distaff. Still to come. Never lost on dirt, taking on older horses for the first time since she broke her maiden in her debut.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe. Now his much-anticipated first crop has arrived. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races here on this Saturday afternoon in Elmont, New York. Our show brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Mentioned we're going to be bringing you 6 stakes races on the program this afternoon. 8 stakes races in total. A couple happened before we came on the air. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori, Jonathan Kinchin with you. And the first of those came up in the Maid of the Mist, race 2 on the program. And Naked Avenger, Timothy Hills, undefeated coming into this race.
I thought it was a good quality group of fillies, and I know you had a strong opinion here, Jonathan.
Yeah, no, I liked Critical Value in this spot. I thought Critical Value's race, 2 races up at Saratoga, was beat by a stablemate on debut, then came back very impressively to get the maiden done. Homebred for Marshall Graham and Clay Sanders of 10 Strike Racing. This horse is impressive. Jeremiah Englehart, he's been meant business this year with his 2-year-olds.
He really has, huh? His horses have been, his 2-year-olds just been so well prepared.
He had the magic touch, Jeremiah Englehart, with the 2-year-old fillies at the Saratoga meet, and it has continued here into the fall at Belmont as well. And this is one of those who performed for him so brilliantly at Saratoga this summer. Daughter of Bodemeister, and now she gets a stakes win in the Maid of the Mist. 2 for 3. She's only missed by a nose away from perfection for 10 Strike Racing, and Junior Alvarado aboard there as well.
Junior Alvarado started out the day the right way, certainly. And Maid of the Mist, isn't that boat that goes like underneath Niagara Falls?
Oh, I believe you're right.
I think it is. Useless bit of fact there.
I gotta get there one day. I've been meaning to. $7.30 for the win on Critical Value. Meanwhile, in the Mohawk, fan favorite back in action again in Voodoo Song. There was a late scratch, a therapist in this race. Christophe Clement, though, he still had Gucci Factor here, who did not get out to a good start in his most recent effort.
No, and based off of that performance, if you knew he was going to break a little bit better today, he was going to have some pace to run into with the hard-trying Voodoo Song. Voodoo Song fought. Gucci Factor was a bit too much.
Yeah,
that's Voodoo Song down on the inside there, winds up second.
And you can see the size disparity between the 6 Gucci Factor, much bigger horse. But Voodoo Song, he's showing signs of the horse we saw last year and that willingness to fight. Set fast fractions today, but I think that's how he runs best, when he runs fast. Speed is his weapon, and I don't blame Jose Lascano for letting him use that speed. Gucci Factor, you had pointed out to me how poor a start he had last time, and he got up and nailed Voodoo Song on the money.
Well, he'd won 3 in a row, Gucci Factor, 5 of 6, until he didn't get out of the gate well last time out. So he's on some kind of run. If you take that race away, 4 in a row, 6 of 7. As you take a look at the winners in today's stakes action, Critical Value, impressive 2-year-old filly for Jeremiah Englehart. Gucci Factor on quite a roll for Christophe Clement, who has a lot more work to do this afternoon. Mr. Buff, John Kimmel, with some more we're going to see in as well, including Harris Bay in that Sleepy Hollow. Our co-feature coming up later today, that is the Empire Distaff and Newly Minted. Gonna put that 4 for 4 record on dirt on the line as she tackles older horses for the first time as a winner, and she's tackling some good company in this spot.
So she is. She gets an inside draw coming out of that chute. Sometimes can be a bit of a tricky thing, and I wonder exactly how far Newly Minted really wants to go.
No, I agree, and I think the cutback here is going to help. I was impressed by the way she ran first time going 9 furlongs up at Saratoga. Did it off of a layoff and did it well and did it impressively. I think the cutback's going to be good for her. And if you like Newly Minted, you have to like how successful Mr. Buff was with that inside rail run. I'd imagine she'll be spending a lot of time down on that same path.
Yeah, you would imagine she would be. And you know, she won eased up here. I've always been under the impression, Jonathan, I'm curious to get your opinion, that horses stretching out, sometimes the ones that don't really want to do it best the first time they do it.
That's what I've always heard. I've heard that you can kind of trick them once, and then next time they're like, oh, no, I'm not going that far again.
But a mile should help.
Right, I think it should help. The 1-turn mile at that, she should be able to kind of find her stride. And she's a 3-year-old, so there's an opportunity for her to continue to improve. There's still some maturity there to be had. So I think she's going to run well today, but she's got some competition in that race.
Well, she's taking on a 5-year-old mare who didn't come to the races until she was 5, by the way, for Brian Lynch, Radikowski, who she looked a little shaky at Saratoga. She looked incredible in that Belmont win September 11th here.
She was devastating that day. I mean, she won about as easy as a horse could win with her ears up. And I thought she might have been vulnerable that day. I couldn't have been more wrong.
No, and look, she's won 2 races for 3 starts here at Belmont Park. She likes the racetrack, and she was impressive last time.
You also have Midnight Disguise, Linda Rice with the 4-year-old filly. Of course, she has newly minted as well. Joelle Rosario will be aboard, and she's battle tested. She's won close to $500,000 in her career.
Well, and you can't discount that. These horses that have that foundation, that know what it's like to be in the title bout, if you will.
Right, and she's run well here at Belmont as well. And then the Bromans have a pair of horses that you probably need to keep an eye out for as well.
All right, that's coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. We're going to move on to the 6th race next. More stakes action, Hudson Handicap. 6.5 furlongs. We approach the 11-minute mark to post. Build to suit. Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables, your leading trainer and owner from Saratoga. This horse was off 15 months and just ran lights out in that comeback effort back in January. Didn't see him again until the summer at Saratoga. Missed by a nose against Celtic Kaos, who will face again here, but he comes in off a win, another impressive performance.
And a good horse. He's going to have to work out the right kind of trip from the rail. I'm not seeing a tremendous amount of speed in here, Jonathan. I don't know about you, but I thought the 4 I Love Lulu could get very loose in here.
Like, I Love Lulu's last performance was a little bit, wasn't kind of in character, but I think that if this horse breaks, goes to the front, there's not going to be a lot of pressure. I Love Lulu could definitely turn the tables.
12 minutes away from our Hudson Handicap. Let's head downstairs, get a paddock report with Maggie Wolfendale.
And I want to take a look at the main 3 in here, Greg, as we'll begin down on the rail with Build to Suit, who even when you watch that replay of going back to the John Morrissey and you watch it in real time, it's really hard to believe that Celtic Kaos actually got the win over Build to Suit. And Build to Suit did have the tougher trip. It's hard to believe a horse was behind Celtic Kaos turning for home. And Build to Suit came back with a win here against Open Company as a heavy favorite that day. But I think this horse just looks sensational. I mean, Chad's done a great job bringing this horse back off that extended layoff of, a year and a half nearly. And he looks fantastic once again. I like what I'm seeing from him. I like the fact that we stick with the 6.5 furlongs. It's the 4th time he's going to do it in a row. So I think everything suits him very nicely today. And he's tactical enough, I think, that he doesn't have to be that far back like he was 2 back. As we'll move on to number 3, Celtic Kaos, who does look great. Really kind of physically hit that peak. He took a little bit longer because he was always a smaller horse. So now as a 6-year-old, I think he looks better than ever. Was a little warm when he first walked in here, but not as if he was nervous. I'm just a little concerned about maybe the timing in between his races, but that on paper doesn't look as though it should bother him because he came back off a late May race to win early August. So it's the same kind of time in between. And I have no complaints with him, and we'll see what heats up front because I Love Lulu, yes, he could be loose in here, but what are they meant to do with Gold for the King? I mean, last time he was hustled a bit to get to the lead. He doesn't need the lead, but maybe they were trying something different. It'll be interesting to see what tactics they employ this time around. But in regards to this horse here in the paddock, I've seen him look much better than what he does here today. And I have the utmost respect for Charlie Baker as the front bandages stay on for the 2nd race in a row. His coat doesn't look as good as it did up in Saratoga. His weight doesn't look as good as it did up in Saratoga. And I wasn't in love with that effort up in Saratoga. So everything doesn't quite add up for me being on the bandwagon of Gold for the King. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thanks. Gold for the King, 7-2 right now. And he actually got to the lead in that Morrissey. It used to be a time when you could not get the lead from I Love Lulu. Those days are long gone, but the 4-horse I Love Lulu, formerly graded stakes placed, was 3rd behind Limousine Liberal back in 2018. This is a loaded group, though.
Yeah, I was a little confused why I Love Lulu was rated 2 back up at Saratoga when you mentioned in the Morrissey. Obviously, kind of get to the front end last time. I think there were some conditions that were against I Love Lulu last time. We talked about a Munson yesterday who was so impressive. That horse spent a lot of time September 14th down on the inside. So did I Love Lulu on the same day.
Look at the company lines I Love Lulu's keeping, too. I mean, he wasn't beaten far by Pat on the Back, who was your favorite, albeit beaten in the Empire Classic. And I just wonder, I think they're going to revert back to rating tactics, with the 8 Gold for the King. Celtic Kaos, he got all of that bob last time in the Morrissey in Saratoga. He looked beaten and just got the craziest bob to get the money.
Right, if you want to compare him and Build to Suit, I thought Celtic Kaos had a much better trip than Build to Suit did that day. And if it's just the nose was the difference, you got to side with Build to Suit here.
Saw the sign-up graphic. Play along with Naira Bets. Bet $200. You get $200 in your account. Use that promo code LIVE at sign-up to take advantage and bet any track, anywhere, anytime with NairaBets.com. Celtic Kaos, the 3-horse. We're going to see him in a moment here. This horse tells you a lot about this New York bred program and how you can stick around, earn a lot of money. Ran in the Sleepy Hollow back in 2015. He won the Firm Success 2017. Beat I Love Lulu in that race. And they won the Morrissey that year as well. Here's Build to Suit. Since he's come back, he's been very good for Chad Brown.
Never worse than third in 9 career starts. In good form. Needs to work out the right kind of trip from the rail.
T loves a fight. What a claim this horse has been for Orlando Noda.
Orlando Noda's won 7 races this year. 4 of them are with T loves a fight.
And coming off a win last time out right here at Belmont at 7/8. Here's Celtic Kaos, the 6-year-old. Got the job done in the Morrissey, barely.
Yeah, got a great bob that day. He's been off since then, so a lot of time to recover from that hard race. And he's earned over $650,000.
The 8-year-old has won over $860,000 in his career. I Love Lulu.
I Love Lulu on September 14th spent inside speed, time down on the inside. Amundsen yesterday, who freaked, spent time down there as well.
12-1 on long shot here, Cecilia Mike. Jose Ortiz aboard.
Yeah, not a lot to lean on here. I guess if you're trying to find something, Jose Ortiz was aboard last time. This horse won, and Jose's back today.
Another long shot, Winston's Chance for Deborah Breed.
Finger Lake Shipper came down, tried the Evan Shipman going longer, came back, tightened up sprinting last time. He's going to have to improve a little bit.
Gold for the King at 4-1. Charlie Baker, third behind Celtic Kaos and Build to Suit in that Morrissey at Saratoga.
Maggie wasn't crazy about this one in the paddock. I'm not crazy about this one's last race on paper. Got an easy lead last time, right parts of the racetrack, and couldn't do much with it.
And Casmania, huge long shot outside, will cut back in distance for Eduardo Jones.
And a rightful long shot, but a horse that can show speed, and it'll be interesting to see if he plays a part in the pace of this race.
Now he's got a speed rider in Kendrick Carmouche aboard, who last time sprinting, Kendrick was on, and he got to the front. But can he do it against this company? We'll find out. And there's your favorite, Build to Suit. Can he add another victory here as a 5-year-old for Chad Brown and Klaravich Stables? We'll be back with the Hudson Handicap next.
It's been home to some of the sport's biggest moments, monumental achievements, and extraordinary records. At Santa Anita, we'll set another before the first gate even opens, as the Breeders' Cup returns for a record 10th time. This November, the stars will shine. Champions will be crowned. And when the unbelievable happens, you'll want to be there to see it. The Breeders' Cup World Championships.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
What constitutes a promising stallion? Speed? He's still the fastest tappet ever around 2 turns. Pedigree? He's got the strength of the founding fathers, top and bottom. And he's passing that strength on. With 2 graded stakes winners and 3 TDN rising stars from his first crop, he's one of the leading freshman sires in the country. Constitution. He's the son of Tappet we've all been waiting for.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Back on America's Day at the Races. Our show brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy. Raced medication-free his entire career, and he never lost while sprinting. Now stands at Claiborne Farm for $25,000 as we get set to bring you the Hudson Handicap here coming up. And our current favorite, 7-5, Build to Suit. Chad Brown and company, they've had to be patient with this horse who went to the bench for 15 months. And, you know, he's part of a 1-5 entry in that last performance where he won convincingly. Identity Politics, who had been second to McKinsey in the Malibu, was in that race as well, but it was Build to Suit who showed up.
And Build to Suit, we were watching him warm up, has not stopped warming up since he hit the racetrack. Here is the Morrissey, and you're going to see Celtic Kaos is going to hit the front on the outside, and Build to Suit makes this run inside of him like he's going to blow right by. Now, Celtic Kaos is very game. He's on his wrong lead. When he switched his right lead, he found a bit more. But you watch this, and you tell me who you think won this. The outside horse got the bob. And, I mean, if you bet on Build to Suit, if you rode Build to Suit, if you trained him, you owned him, you had to be walking to the winner's circle or heading to the windows and went, wait a second, we didn't win?
That I was pretty impressed how he kind of went in between horses. It wasn't that tight, but a lot of times it feels like horses when they don't always like to go in there in those tight spaces.
Yeah, he showed a lot of gameness, and he really finished. And Celtic Kaos is a horse that finishes, too, so he had a run to get heads up with him. Just got unlucky on the bob.
Well, here comes the rematch. Can that horse right there turn the tables? Celtic Kaos trying to win 3 in a row as we head downstairs to Maggie.
And that's why these New York bred races are so much fun, because we have those matchups and we have those rivalries that take place on these showcase days. And we'll talk a little bit out here about I Love Lulu. Now, it seems as though possibly now as an 8-year-old, his best days are behind him, at least of his last 2 races. And I do think he is a horse that his chances are always enhanced when there's a bit of moisture in the racetrack, and that obviously isn't the case here today. But going back to that Morrissey, in which he was a little bit taken out of his game when they sent Gold for the King to the lead, and he also just didn't look that fit to me. He was coming back off a bit of a layoff, dating back to April. And while I appreciate this horse carrying some conditioning, because previously, earlier on in his career, he was always a very lightly framed horse, I just think he needed to tuck up. He benefited from a race. Maybe he had an excuse last time, as Jonathan was saying, being down on the inside, and he was beaten by Build to Suit that day. But he just looks tighter, but still that conditioning's still on. I am of the camp that thinks possibly his best days are behind him, but Jason Service isn't as successful as he is by running horses where they can't win. So he obviously thinks this horse has a legitimate shot, is training well, is doing well. So that makes my confidence a little bit more elevated than what it was going into this race, possibly as a long shot here at 38-1. Okay, is number 7, Winston's Chance. Yeah, some of his better races have come A, going longer, B, at Finger Lakes. But going back to his Evan Shipment, where he was 3rd that day behind Mr. Buff and Dynamax Prime, who we just saw finish 1-2 in the Empire Classic, he looks better than what he did that day. His flesh is a bit better. He's carrying more weight. His coat looks really great out there. Yeah, he's probably a bit better going longer. But if jockeys try and go out there and set a bit of pace out in front of him, let's say that Gold for the King goes with I Love Lulu, so on and so forth, then he could be making that late run where it's the same thing he did going back to the stake up at Finger Lakes in his last start. But guys, as far as warm-ups are concerned, it seemed like a lot of these horses got solo warm-ups and were moving very well out there, but that's what you expect to see in a sprint. Greg?
These are old pros, and you know, for I Love Lulu, the 4, trained by Jason Service, it just seems like now he's an 8-year-old. It seems like his best races now come when he gets an off track.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair statement. I just think that there's a potential for him to get loose, and at a little better price than some of the others. I'm going to take a flyer with him. Listen, Build to Suit gets the right trip. He's supposed to win. Celtic Kaos, you can't count him out. He looks spectacular on the racetrack. And the thing about Celtic Kaos, he doesn't lag as much as he used to, so he's creating better trips for himself.
Right, I agree with you about I Love Lulu. I think that if you look at the last 2 races, you can give an excuse. Was rated in that race, didn't make the lead, obviously wants to be forward in the Morrissey. And then the last race spent too much time down on the inside, which is probably where you didn't want to be. So now he's 3rd off of a layoff. I get it. If he had the moisture in the racetrack, he'd be even happier here today. But he's going to be on the front end. And I can tell you right now, Richie, you're going to have a little bit of a thrill, I'd say, about the 8th pole, and then we'll see what happens.
Well, I'll take it. I'll get my money's worth anyway.
He's been doing it for a long time. Again, $863,000 in earnings for I Love Lulu, running for perennially one of the leading owners in New York, Michael Dubb, the Jason Service Barn, as Build to Suit, our favorite. Steps in line, even money on this horse now, who's a nose away from perfection since he's come back as a 5-year-old in 3 starts. The rematch here, the only horse to beat him since he's come back by the narrowest of margins. That horse right there, Celtic Kaos, the 6-year-old Morrissey winner. This is the rematch as we set it upstairs for the call of the Hudson Handicap. Here's Larry Colmus.
And one left to load now. It's Casmania. The long shot in the field coming up to the outside stall to complete the line. Casmania turning sideways there. The assistant starters working on getting him into the starting gate. 6-5 right now on Build to Suit. And they're all in line. They're off in the Hudson. I Love Lulu, alert from the beginning. Build to Suit now up in the inside into second position. Not the best of beginnings for him as he broke in the middle of the pack. But he's second on the inside of T Loves a Fight up the backstretch. Then comes Casmania, fourth on the far outside. They're being followed by Cecilia Mike, Winston's Chance, and then it's Gold for the King and Celtic Kaos down toward the rail. So it is I Love Lulu pushed along by T Loves a Fight through an easy opening quarter mile in 23.24 seconds. The pace not fast. Casmania is 2 lengths behind, running in third position. Build to Suit is now back into fourth on the inside. And then it's Cecilia Mike, followed by Gold for the King. An outside trip for Winston's Chance going by horses in Celtic Kaos. Being ridden to go at the rear of the field is I Love Lulu. Has run 46.45 for a half and turns for home with the lead. T Loves a Fight, giving him a test on the outside. The two of them turn for home, stride for stride, and Build to Suit is 2 lengths off of them, trying to mount a rally on the outside. I Love Lulu. Here's Build to Suit down the middle. T Loves a Fight in between horses is next. And then Cecilia Mike. And up the rail it's Gold for the King, but it is Build to Suit in the Hudson, pulling away late to beat I Love Lulu. And then it was T Loves a Fight and Gold for the King.
Build to Suit, 3 for 4 now since he's come back as he takes the Hudson Handicap. Impressive victory. Celtic Kaos, he had some trouble in this race.
Yeah, he did. But you know what? He was never really traveling, and I think that's why he got squeezed around the turn. He just wasn't putting Dylan Davis in the race, taking him the bridle. It looked like Build to Suit was in trouble here, but he was just resenting the kickback. He really wasn't running through the dirt thrown back in his face. And watch, it's like a tale of 2 different horses, Jonathan. Once he gets in the clear, his stride changed completely. His head dropped, and he really found his rhythm.
It's hard in the pan to see a horse visually accelerate, and you can see right here, he is moving much faster than the rest of those horses. I Love Lulu ran extremely well, very brave performance. I don't think age is an issue for him. He ran his race today. Yeah. He just ran into a monster.
Ran second best today, but interesting. And, you know, sometimes you just, Greg, when you don't have enough horse to get to the spot and horse ain't taking you, that's when you find trouble, and that's what it looked like with Celtic Kaos. He just didn't show up today.
1:15.4, that is moving for 6.5 furlongs, and this horse has been something else since he has come back off the bench off a 15-month layoff. 3 wins, missed by a nose in a race that looked like he won in the Morrissey. He gets revenge today. Prices will set up the next when we come back. That's the Iroquois.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf, and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
You know, I think Run Happy has a lot of things going for him. Obviously, he's been very respected, and to give people further incentive to buy them for where they can take an offspring, run it, and if they win, they're going to get a $100,000 bonus for each Run Happy they have. You know, it's another selling point from our perspective that really helps us promote the horses that we're representing and we're selling.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the races. And what a performance from Build a Suit. Wins for the 6th time, 10 career starts, and now 3 for 4 since coming back off a 15-month layoff for Chad Brown and Clarovich Stables.
Very impressive. When he got in the clear, it was like two different horses. He dropped his head, and like you said, you could visually see him accelerate. What a nice horse.
Let's take a look at the stretch run again. You know, once he gets in the clear, his mind's on running.
He was running so fast, he kind of got out a little bit. He was accelerated so much.
Yeah, he ran sideways there for a second, and Manny Franco got him straightened out, and he just laid his head down and really leveled off. And I Love Lulu, very game to be second.
Really good ride by Manny. Sent him away from there early, kind of held that position. Then as they kind of pulled away, he just kind of took back, eased out, ate some dirt for a couple of, about a half a furlong, and then ended up producing that run in the middle of the racetrack.
So Build a Suit, $4.70 for the win. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Here with winning trainer Chad Brown and Build to Suit while he picks up the stakes victory. Chad, which still can't believe he didn't win the Morrissey, but anyway, he gets it today. I mean, this horse has never finished worse than third, 6 for 10 lifetime. He's pretty cool, and to bring him off that 15-month layoff speaks a lot about you and the job you've done.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and a lot of help from Bruce Jackson down on Fairhill. He rehabs a lot of horses for us. He did a great job with this horse. And, he's all heart. He's one of those afternoon horses. He won't get you excited in the morning, and he always runs a little better than I think he's going to. He's an afternoon horse. He's a real gamer.
And a real modest pedigree, too. I mean, I think he's the only horse I see running by Dominus.
Yeah, I didn't know what to run him on when I first got him, so I just started to sprint him on dirt, and he did fine, so I left him there. But he's a real cool horse to be around, and he earns everything he gets.
Definitely, and sending out obviously a good chance later on in the Ticonderoga with 55, I would say. But I'm really interested in More Mischief, who you send out in the Iroquois, technically kind of skipping a condition, as she's still eligible for her 2X New York bred. But ambitious spot, brings confidence.
It is, I think the distance will work for her, and she's training really well, and getting to the end of the year here where I thought we'd take a shot for some more black type and see how she fits in the stakes category.
Well, Chad, congratulations. Best of luck with your next 2 fillies and mares.
Thank you.
All right, guys, back to you.
Maggie, thanks. Well, yeah, surprisingly, we'll get to it in a second here, but More Mischief is actually opened up as the favorite here in the Iroquois. But another look here at Build a Suit. Off this kind of performance, what this horse has done, coming back as a 5-year-old, you got to start thinking maybe even bigger and more lucrative spots next time out.
You would have to think he's stamped a ticket to try Open Company at this point. I mean, he kind of has no more New York bred worlds to conquer, sprinting at least.
And his figures match up with those types of horses. So I don't think he knows he's a New York bred. I don't think he'll show up in the race and do the same thing. He's a trip horse. If he gets a good trip, he can win any race.
The magic touch, Chad Brown continues to win wherever he's sending him out in this next race. Again, that is the Iroquois. More Mischief, his 3-year-old filly, coming off a win at Saratoga to get through that state-bred entry-level allowance condition. 10-1 morning line right now, the favorite.
I'm a bit surprised by that, Jonathan. You are more savvy when it comes to odds and what's in line for horses, but doesn't that seem a little bit odd?
It does seem odd, and the doubles tells me that it is odd. The favorite's the 7 here, so I think that'll obviously change. But still, I mean, taking more money than the 10-1 morning line would suggest, I would call that the Chad Brown factor. That happens from time to time. People look down in the PPs, they see Chad, they saw the horse won last time, and they probably didn't take a chance to take the opportunity to look to the left and notice that that race was on a very sloppy racetrack, and probably the lifetime best for that one. I think that's probably why.
Yeah, you would think she would need quite a bit of improvement coming up. We'll get more into this Iroquois here in just a moment. Some big news with Claiborne. Catholic boy has been retired, now going to be a part of that stallion roster for legendary Claiborne Farm. Just the 3rd horse ever, 3-year-old American in history to be a Grade 1 winner on turf and dirt in his 3-year-old campaign.
I think this is an extremely exciting stallion prospect just for that reason, his versatility. Grade 1 winner turf, Grade 1 winner dirt. I don't know we'll ever see another horse win the Belmont Derby on the turf, as well as the Midsummer's Derby, the Travers, on the dirt. Just didn't really get it together as a 4-year-old, didn't train as well, but he has nothing left to prove. And again, I think a super exciting stallion prospect.
There's Grade 1s and there's Grade 1 pluses, right? The ones that really move you. There's some sneaky Grade 1s. You could try to get the resume to look a little bit better. He won the Travers against a good horse in Mendelssohn, and then he won the Belmont Derby against a good horse in Analyze It. And he's just a good horse winning real Grade 1s, and I agree with you. I think he's going to be a lot of fun to see what his progeny does.
Going to stand for $25,000 starting next year at Claiborne, a tremendous addition to their already loaded roster of stallions. Big news concerning the Breeders' Cup. I mean, there's big news. We didn't know if Catholic Boy was going to move on and go to the Classic. They were considering it, but he's been retired. As for Catalina Cruiser, looks like he's leaning sprint now and going to shy away perhaps from Omaha Beach, but will be potentially cross-entered dirt mile and sprint, but it sounds like leaning sprint.
I wonder if it's to avoid Omaha Beach, but go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to run against Omaha Beach either. Look, this performance was impressive. That was a day, Belmont weekend, where the inside was where you wanted to be, and he was impressive on the outside. I like the horse. He's going to have a lot of pace to close into going that 6 furlongs. He's based out there in California. John Sadler will walk him out of his own barn. I think he's sitting on a good performance. Like I said, he'll get that real pace to close into with horses like Chancelot and others.
He's not slow either. Biggest number he's ever run in his career was 6 furlongs sprinting.
Yeah, and I like the move. I think I'm seeing the race the same way. Ton of speed, a horse that won't be, drowned early by the speed, but certainly will enhance his closing kick. And I thought his True North that we just watched here was very, very impressive. I wonder, does Joel Rosario retain the ride there in that spot?
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Flavian Pratt, of course, rode him with Pat O'Brien. He's 3 for 3 this year, and it sounds like mine's made up. Sprint. Meanwhile, Omaha Beach was off for 5 months, would have been your favorite in the Kentucky Derby. Richard Mandela said I had just a couple of weeks to turn him into a sprinter. Gets the better of Chancelot, who had that tremendous performance, highest buyer speed figure ever by a 3-year-old in the Amsterdam at Saratoga. Got up for the win there. Omaha Beach, however, looking like he is instead going to go to the dirt mile.
I think that fits. I think it's the next progressive step from the 6 to the mile. I think it would have been a lot to ask, even with Richard Mandela as the trainer, to get the 1.25 miles. And he's just such an impressive horse. I mean, this was your Derby favorite.
Look, I'm kind of tempering my excitement. I really wanted him to run in the Classic. But after their plan for the rest of the year, it makes sense, right? You go in the dirt mile, then you run them in the 7 furlong Malibu, and then you come back and you run them in the Pegasus for a whole lot of money. I get why they're doing it. Selfishly, I wanted to see him in the Classic.
I like to see the progression. You don't want to ask so much. I mean, that was asking a lot for this horse to come off a 5-month layoff and go up against Chancelot in a Grade 1.
And what was impressive about that is that he put himself in the game. I mean, Mike Smith did not have to hustle him to get up in behind Chancelot. He was taking him there. I mean, what a versatile horse to have that kind of speed and then to have the stamina that he's proven he's had already. Just a real good horse.
I'm just glad we get to see him at 4. The plan already is to run him at the Pegasus. I mean, obviously he could go out in that race, but hopefully he'll continue on and we'll get to see him do some really fun things.
Well, look at the contenders for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Coal Front on that list as well for trainer Todd Pletcher. Coal Front coming off a win at Parks. Should have won that race, was an odds-on favorite in that spot, but this horse has not ducked any spots all year long.
No, he is not, and I think he's in really good form here. He showed a lot of guts here, I thought, and I really, I could be wrong, but I'm of the belief that the rail was not the best place to be. I'm not saying it was a dead rail or, the way it can be at Parks, but I still don't think it was the best part of the racetrack, and he was resolute.
And I actually like a horse that ran later on this card, Mr. Money, who ran the Pennsylvania Derby. He'll be targeting the dirt mile. I think he's dangerous as well.
Cole Front, Stone State Thursday. Of course, we saw him in the Met Mile. Makes you think Matoli's thinking sprint, but how dangerous he could have been in that race.
Yeah, super dangerous as well. But, I wonder if it's because it's a 2-turn mile. Here we see Cole Front working out on the training track. He looks good. He's a horse that goes pretty relaxed on his own. Todd Pletcher tends to breeze a lot of his horses, particularly his good horses, in company. But he chose to breeze Cole Front on his own, so maybe he wouldn't do too much. But he looked good there. He's striding out well, and he galloped out well.
A lot of big horses with big implications, too, with races to choose between this year.
Well, it's interesting that they're versatile enough that they have options. They're not a specialist at one particular distance.
Or the contrarian argument is they're just not really great at one thing, so they're trying to figure out where they're going to try to plug him in.
Look, we have a horse who's in contention and maybe your leader in the clubhouse right now for Horse of the Year, who's sort of between races. Of course, that's Bricks and Mortar, debating between the turf or the mile. So we'll see what happens with that decision. Could come after the next work, you would assume, for Chad Brown and company.
And again, the fact that, he's a little bit of in-betweener. You don't know that he really wants a mile and a half. I think with his turn of foot, the mile would be fine. He's got great acceleration.
And he'll grind him away, too. He'll get real pace in that race. Usually, you'll get some real pace in that mile, turf mile.
Up next, it is the Iroquois. It'll kick off the late pick 5, and that's Carrera Cat as a win over Holiday Disguise. Couple of starts back. 5-time winner for John Morrison. We'll go through this field when we return on America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2.
It's a Motown, the son of Uncle Mo, to win the Remsen.
Motown flying, Motown will win a Thriller, Motown to win it, and Motown has won the Hollywood Derby.
Whether you have Derby dreams or Midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify!
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
I think the bonus is really interesting. Mr. McInvale, as usual, is thinking outside the box, doing a wonderful job promoting his horse. Buyers will really appreciate having an opportunity like that to come back and run their horses at these top tracks and earn that bonus.
It's a wonderful incentive both for people in the market and people that own these horses. And I mean, what a great bonus it would be for anybody that wins. I think it's wonderful.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're gonna go traveling.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Continuing along here with loads of stakes action on Empire Showcase Day here at Belmont Park. And the Iroquois, fillies and mares traveling 6.5 furlongs coming up. And this is Carrera Cat, who 2 starts back in the Union Avenue upstate at Saratoga, got the better of Holiday Disguise. But Holiday Disguise, I think you could certainly argue she's at her best here at Belmont.
Yeah, Rajiv gave her a perfect ride last time at Saratoga. sitting right there kind of in that you know, kind of that path, 2 or 3 pass off the rail, and she just kept grinding and grinding and grinding away. I thought it was a phenomenal ride. Rajiv really earned his check here.
And Rajiv is a guy who can still ride, a top-class journeyman, who it's just funny how sometimes the ebbs and flows of this game fall out of favor a little bit, not as popular, but he's just as good a rider as he's ever been, and when he's on the right horses, he can prove it. I would like Carrera Cat a lot better here if she wasn't carrying 126 pounds and giving weight to everybody in the field.
Yeah, she is the high weight in this group. That's a lot of weight to carry. 9-2 on the board on Carrera Cat as we head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
And she's also going to have to deal with another speed horse in here, but I'll get to Carrera Cat in a moment, as I'm very intrigued by number 7 in here, Satisfy, who is second off of that extended layoff. And last time out down at Monmouth, where I suppose that's just when she got ready. She's not eligible for any of the open allowance conditions anymore. And 2, it was a very hot pace in which she looked, it looked as though it was going to collapse, but it never did. It was the 1-2 horses that ran around the racetrack. They finished 1-2, and she was the only horse really amongst the pack there to make up any kind of ground. And I thought it was a better return to the races than maybe what it looks on paper, as she was the beaten favorite that day. But physically here in the paddock, you could not ask a horse to look any better than what she does. She's dappled head to toe. She's striding out beautifully. She's just kind of gliding along the surface here of the paddock, and she's bright-eyed. She looks fit. She looks strong. I'm really excited to see what Satisfy does coming back to the races here in New York against New York Bred Company for Bill Mott. And then the horse that's taken a lot of money, as I felt as though she might, because it's Chad Brown, and this is an ambitious spot. So it speaks to his confidence in number 8, More Mischief, here, who has been working lights out ever since her score up at Saratoga. And I must say, now that she's kind of third off of a layoff, I suppose, this is the most fit that she's looked all year. This is the most keen I've seen her as well. She's very, very quiet in the paddock, going back to both of her efforts in Saratoga, and I think that speaks volumes as to the, not necessarily the speed he's put into her, but just the fact that Chad has her very sharp heading into this race, and that's evident in her work tab. It's evident here in the paddock. She's very intriguing, and I've always liked her because she's just this big, beautiful filly that I do think has a lot of talent. We'll see if she displays it here today. As number 9, Carrera Cat, yeah, filly bustin', she might be a thorn in her side, but at least Carrera Cat gets to track from the outside. And what an interesting career this filly has had. Modest on the turf, because she is bred to be a turf horse, but turns out she's a dirt horse. And she's just been so game and so consistent throughout the entire year. Yes, she was no match for Come Dancing in the Crew in the Grade 2 Gallant Bloom, but I thought her race 2 back was very good. Baby Boss went out there and set a wicked pace. She was tracking that horse right there. Every reason to kind of give it up at the head of the lane after setting those types of fractions, and she didn't. But then again, maybe the other horses didn't show up that day other than Holiday Disguise. Still, I give a lot of respect to Carrera Cat, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. Late pick 5. It begins here in the Iroquois. You look at Rajiv Mirage on Carrera Cat, and she is lightning quick. We'll see. 9-2 in here. That other speed, obviously, Kendrick Carmouche, quick rider on Filibusted as well, but I thought Carrera Cat might be quicker in here.
I think Carrera Cat possesses a bit more natural speed, and she usually leaves the gate like a rocket.
Post-parade coming up. We're going to start off with Holiday Disguise. She's won over $640,000 in her career, and she's proven she loves it at Belmont.
Yeah, 4 wins at Belmont Park. It's an inside post. Should get a good stalking trip from that inside. And we were talking off camera, Jonathan, you were saying how it looks like the inside is not a bad place to be today.
Fair Regis. She's coming off a big effort, winning at Belmont in an entry-level allowance for Jason Service.
I like her here at a big price. She's going to get that inside pocket trip with Irad. Kendrick rode her well as well. I think she's going to sit on, and she's the type of horse I'd like to use underneath, 2nd or 3rd.
Pause for the cause. 7-1 in here for Kieran Mclaughlin, coming off maybe the best performance of her career.
Yeah, well, she went essentially wire to wire under Hall of Famer Johnny Vasquez, bred by Chester and Mary Broman, preeminent breeders in the state of New York. Already saw them in the winner's circle at Mr. Buff.
JC's shooting star. We've had her year after year on our show. She's been doing this for a while. 7-year-old mare for David Donk.
Yeah, unfortunately, she's 0 for 9 here at Belmont, but she does get the meet's leading rider in Manny Franco.
Filibustin, here's the one who could be challenging and all over Carrera Cat early. We'll see with Kendrick Carmouche turf to dirt today.
Has speed, has Kendrick, and has the best opportunity to get down to the inside.
Satisfy, favored right now for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott.
Real nice filly, beating a neck last year at this same race. Tom Gallo's Dream Maker stable. Maggie likes the way she looks, and I think she looks good on paper as well.
Never worse than second here in 5 starts, 3 wins, 2 seconds. Here's more mischief. 10-1 morning line for Chad Brown. Still taking play at 7-2.
Yeah, she's 0 for 2 here at Belmont, and her numbers and performances were a little bit lacking until she found that sloppy racetrack.
And Carrera Cat on the outside for trainer John Morrison. She's won 5 of her last 7 starts.
And a filly that really found her stride, was kind of drifting out, getting out earlier in her career, has gotten very good, straightened out by John Morrison. I like her. She's speed from the outside. I just worry about the 126 pounds. I think there's a breaking point with fillies and mares, how much weight they can carry, and she is giving weight to the rest of the field.
She's been too good.
Yeah.
126 pounds, an outside draw, and Kendrick's going to send with a 50-1 shot.
Let's check in again downstairs with Maggie.
Stable as he will send out Satisfy, second off a layoff time. I mean, she was a 4-year-old that didn't get going till then, and her campaign last year was sensational, but you're back at it here, second off a layoff.
Yes, well, we're really excited. She got a race under her belt in Jersey 3 weeks ago, and if she runs to her form, I mean, I think we're in real good shape here.
Now, where did that race and the regret down at Monmouth kind of put her? I know she was a little bit behind the 8 ball, chasing a hot pace that never came apart.
Yeah, right. I think it gave her a race. You know, we're looking to give her a race. It was either that or the, what was that turf race that they had in New York, the big one, the grade 2?
The grade 2 sprinting?
Yeah, sprinting. It was the grade 2. So that came up a little tough.
I know.
So right. So that came up tough. So we went to Jersey, and she got a race under her belt. You know, it wasn't the way she ran. You know, usually she sits a little bit off the pace, or she can go to the lead. But being all the way behind horses, you know, we just felt like it wasn't her form, and we're looking for an improvement today.
Now, posted well, what's the game plan? You just going to sit behind those likely pace setters?
I think so. I guess it depends how, you know, Junior's ridden her whole career except for that one race, and I think, you know, we have every confidence in he'll put her in the right spot. But she can, like, just sit off the pace, or she can get the lead depending on the fractions, the early fractions.
All right, well, it's great to see her.
We're really excited. We're really excited.
We're
excited to have her back.
She looks sensational, and we're excited as fans to see her back at the races, too.
Thanks. Good luck.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Well, Tom Gallo, yes, and joined by the grandkids. They were here when she broke her maiden, guys. I suppose they might be good luck charms.
We'll see. It didn't take long for her to break her maiden. She did it first time out, told everyone she had some talent right off the bat. Missed in this race just by a neck last year. She'd won 3 in a row coming in. She found herself much further behind the pace than she usually is that day.
Yeah, and she's been shown a versatility, and she's a game filly. And this day, she hooked a really tough filly in Highway Star. So, you know, you got to give her a lot of credit, because that's a tough game older mare. Actually, another Chester Mary Broman bred horse getting through on the rail there.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the last performance. I'll quote one of my good buddies, Peter Thomas Fornatel. He always says, Bill Mott with a target. This was clearly the target, not the race down in Monmouth.
10-month layoff. Had to have needed that race coming back, and then to show you what they thought of her coming back off that long of a layoff, they put her in a stakes race off the bench.
Yeah, and she was favored. Now, Monmouth Park, the races are run quite a bit different, and they send pretty hard from the go. They were very fast fractions. She probably needed to shake off some ring rust. She makes a lot of sense here.
So Satisfy, wow, favored at 2-1 on the board as we take a look at Holiday Disguise. And yeah, for some reason it's Saratoga. She's just not nearly or as good as she's been at Belmont. Didn't show it last time out. She ran second, beaten favorite to Carrera Cat, but getting back on her home turf, probably going to be big for her.
And it looks like she's been training well here. Nice bullet work on the Belmont training track. And, you know, she's kind of a big mare, a little bit on the heavy side, one of those mares that, you know, kind of carries a lot of weight. And, you know, that's not from a fitness perspective. That's just her build. And I've found over the years that those kind of horses don't excel at Saratoga, and they do better at Belmont, so it makes sense to me from a physical perspective.
Is that more because of the big sweeping turns, so the big horses can kind of find their rhythm?
Yeah, I really believe that. I think that, you know, because you've got that nice, gentle slope to the turn, and horses can kind of get in that rhythm, and they don't have to kind of get rushed off their feet to make sure they get position, which at Saratoga you do.
8 for 17 lifetime. She has been an incredibly consistent 5-year-old mare. We'll see if she can get the job done again here and collect her 5th win at Belmont. There she is for Lady Sheila Stable. Sheila Rosenblum had that long partnership with Linda Rice, and this has been one of their real good ones.
Yeah, and you know, they've really hit on something. They've had some really good horses. The best one is escaping me at the moment, that actually just got La Verdad. Just thank you. I was told in my ear, thank you for the assist in the truck. And La Verdad actually was up at Mrs. Malloy's farm about 15 minutes from me when she had her first foal, a New York bred. Beautiful mare there. Guys, I'm going to wind up on the 9 Carrera Cat in spite of the fact that I am worried about the 126 pounds. She's dropping out of the Gallant Bloom, a grade 2. There's no Come Dancing here. By the way, Come Dancing went 56 and change on the training track this morning, working out with Javier Castellano for trainer Carlos Martin, kind of maybe signaling her readiness for the Breeders' Cup. That's her next target.
Got a date with Covfefe coming up.
Yeah, it's a date with Covfefe. Still want to know what that means, Covfefe. But, you know, this is a huge clash. If the outside post gives Rajiv the opportunity to put his hands down, not take the speed away from her, but let her get into the race the right way. If Filibustin goes crazy, then he just kind of assumes it's somewhere middle on the turn, and sometimes horses really blow up with confidence then.
7-2 Carrera Cat. There is Rajiv on the 4-year-old filly by Courageous Cat as we send it downstairs to Maggie.
I just think things might set up nicely for her and the campaign she's had here in 2019. Well done to John Morrison and company for doing what they've done with her for a filly who had modest beginnings. But let's check in with the 5-year-old mare. Greg, as you were just saying, Holiday Disguise looking for that 9th career victory. Most of them have come here at Belmont Park. And sometimes she's a horse who gets really, really revved up before her races. She is getting keyed up here as we head towards the gate. But relative to her, it wasn't too bad today, and I think that's always a good sign when she contains it just a bit more. She looks good out there. Yeah, she's gotten hot, but I can't say that's out of character whatsoever with her. That's just how she is. You know, I think she's a bit of a horse that has plateaued a bit. I think there's some horses that maybe are more on the upswing, like the outside 3, and she just kind of is what she is. But then again, her good effort could win this. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thanks. So there she is, 4-1. Jose Lezcano, been a regular pilot, back aboard. And it looks like she should get the pace to run into, right?
It appears that way to me. I think there will be enough pace. Last year she was a bit rank in this same race, the Iroquois, and maybe they didn't go quite as quick as what she needed up front. But, you know, it seems like Jose Lezcano really gets along well with her too, though.
Yeah, look, I think Holiday Disguise is going to get a perfect trip. They're going to run away from her a little bit. She's going to sit right down on the inside, and she'll have an opportunity to decide if she wants to stay down inside, or I guess Jose will have the decision to make if he wants to stay inside or try to tip out. A very similar trip to what we saw about 25 minutes ago with Bill DeSuit.
We're going to see her sister running later, by the way, Midnight Disguise in the Empire Distaff. That's still to come, and Joel Rosario will be aboard there. So we'll see if it can be a sister sweep. But it starts right here for Holiday Disguise. And, you know, Jonathan, you were talking about Fair Regis, so you thought warranted a look at 9-1 on the board. That's the 2 with Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard. And she's coming off one of her better efforts. This is a big step up, but she's tackled some of these fillies and mares before.
Well, Kendrick has kind of put her in the race in her last 2 starts, and Irad, you know, rated her a little bit here, and she ran well. She responded well to it. So, 3rd time for Jason Service, excuse me, 4th time for Jason Service off of the win. I just think this horse is going to run good and get a good trip. Look, it's dangerous to play the bias game, and if you're going to play it, you better play it on your toes. But I thought that the inside so far today has been an attractive place to be. I'm not saying it's a gold rail or anything, but it's just you can be down there. And when you're down there, you got geometry on your side as well. So I just think that these two horses, Holiday in Disguise, the 1 and the 2 Fair Regis, are going to outrun their odds based on where they've drawn.
So by geometry, now the ex-jockey here, you mean saving ground.
I mean saving ground.
Holiday Disguise in the right post position to save ground. Here we go. Start of the late pick 5. This is the Iroquois. We send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing, Larry Colmus.
Here's Carrera Cat coming up to the outside stall to be the last one to load. And they're all in line. They're off in the Iroquois. Carrera Cat came out quickly and goes out to the early lead with Pause for the Cause now taking over up the backstretch. And then it's Fair Regis third on the inside, followed by Filibustin in fourth. More Mischief is fifth on the outside. Then Holiday Disguise along the rail, just ahead of Satisfy, and JC Shooting Star is the trailer as Pause for the Cause opens up, runs an opening quarter mile in 22.51, leads it by 2.5. Carrera Cat on the outside second, and then it's Fair Regis third on the inside. Filibustin is fourth by a length and a half. Holiday Disguise is 7 lengths off the lead midway on the far turn, alongside of More Mischief than JC Shooting Star, and Satisfy is last here and 10 lengths off of Pause for the Cause, who has opened up a 3.5 length lead and ran a 45.05 half mile. And they're into the stretch, and it's Pause for the Cause. Off the turn in front by 2.5, Fair Regis. Closing the gap in second with a furlong to run. Carrera Cat is third. JC Shooting Star has moved up into fourth. Then on the outside, it's Holiday Disguise. Pause for the Cause, still going strong. And Pause for the Cause and Jose Ortiz take him every step of the way in the Iroquois. And then it was Fair Regis, Holiday Disguise, and JC Shooting Star.
To the aggressor go the spoils here. Jose Ortiz, aggressive early. Pause for the Cause. Got to the front, never looked back.
Another winner for Chester and Mary Broman, this time with Kieran McLaughlin as a trainer. And Jonathan, we were talking about track biases and inside. Maybe we got to start looking at, this could be a gold rail.
Yeah, look, I want to see the head-on the backside. It feels like Pause for the Cause was off the rail a little bit. When they got to the turn, dropped down to the rail, and that's when she really kind of kicked away. She was impressive. And look, I think the inside is definitely, not a bad place to be. Fair Regis, the 2 was down there on the inside, and the 1 Holiday Disguise was down there on the inside. Spent a lot of time down on the inside as well. Carrera Cat, who was out in the middle of the racetrack, she was out of the superfecta.
Yeah, it looked like she was flat today, and there's that Jose Ortiz, Irad Ortiz. You could flip-flop them, but I think if you just bet the 2 brothers, the Ortiz brothers, in exacta boxes, blind the whole meet, you'd show a profit.
Very well might. Jose on Pause for the Cause as we take a look here on the backstretch.
It looks like he's keeping her out on purpose. Sometimes you keep horses away from the rail because you're trying to settle them, and it looked like she really had run on her mind. And as he went along, he finally was going to ease her down to the rail. But he did that on purpose early, I think, to try to keep her as settled as possible.
Absolutely. And then she spent the majority, the second half of the part of the race down on the inside.
She is just real sharp right now. Back-to-back impressive wins. Pause for the Cause as we head downstairs to Maggie.
And you're with winning trainer Kieran McLaughlin. Kieran, was that the plan? Send?
No, not really. I said she likes a clean face, and I didn't know what Rajiv was going to do from the outside and just play it by ear, but she broke so sharp. And last time she ran the same way with Johnny, so she's just really gotten good and likes to break and go.
I was going to say, seems as though a complete form reversal from the way she was heading towards the middle of this year to her last 2 starts now.
Yes, exactly. She was very impressive today and last time, so we're happy with her new style.
And another win for the Bromans.
Yes, they're great. It's fabulous to have them here today, and they're the best breeders of New York breds, and it's a big day today, and we're happy to train for them and be here with them.
Well, Pause for the Cause. She was ultra impressive. Kieran, congratulations.
Thank you very much. All right.
And there he is, Mr. Broman himself. I mean, the work he's done here in New York, I know, Meg, you can speak to this, but his New York breds, they just are timeless.
It's incredible, and their farm is about an hour north of Saratoga, right up on Friends Lake, hence the name, the one-horse Friends Lake. And you're in the Adirondacks, you're in the middle of the mountains, you come around this curve, and all of a sudden there's all this white fencing, and suddenly you're transformed to Lexington, Kentucky. And it's just an absolute beautiful place, and they have made such a commitment to horse racing, but New York breeding in particular. And they're just very, very good people.
Mr. Broman and I both decided to wear our green jackets today.
That's his lucky jacket. He wore that when he won the Florida Derby.
They might welcome you down to the winner's circle if you want to unhook here. How about that? 2 today for Chester Mary Broman. Pause for the cause. She has gotten real good here in her 4-year-old campaign. She takes the Iroquois. We'll set the stage for the Sleepy Hollow 2-year-olds in action when we come back.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Piranha, the leader in fly control and wipe and spray products, now has premium equine grooming products. Introducing Aloe Pro Shampoo, an organic concentrate enriched with vitamins A, D, and E, and silk protein. Piranha Detangler, a dry comb-through detangling spray that conditions, moisturizes, keeping tail and mane manageable. And Shine Baby Shine, a water-based coat conditioner that leaves a show ring shine every time. Visit piranhaeat.com to see our full line of equine products, and for a limited time, use promo code NAIRA to receive a 10% discount on your order. Piranha on, pests gone.
Back on America's Day at the Races, and the Iroquois in the books. It goes to Pause for the Cause 2 today for Chester and Mary Broman. And Kieran Mclaughlin doing a tremendous job here with his 4-year-old filly. Pause for the Cause, who's now on back-to-back starts. $9.20 as Pause for the Cause gets the win over Fair Regis in a Holiday Disguise.
Big run from her. She's just found more speed than she's ever had in her life, and it looks like that's the way she wants to get it done.
Absolutely. I think sometimes they figure out this is the way they want to run, and they're not going to let anybody change their mind. I'm surprised she was on the lead with the other speed horses that were in there, but being on the front end is an advantageous place to be. A lot less can go wrong when you're on the front end.
Well, the Bromans, some of their top horses they campaign. You mentioned Friends Lake, Hook and Ladder, Seeking the Ante. They got their first Breeders' Cup win with Bar of Gold posting that 66-1 upset back in 2017. And having a pretty nice day today as well.
Yeah, great day, and that's what this is about. This is almost like the Breeders' Cup for New York breds. You've kind of got every category covered, and it's a day for the New York breeders, to shine. It's their day. You can go down into the Belmont room or the trustees room, just packed with breeders and people that take a lot of pride in their product.
No, it's been a lot of fun, and obviously the Bromans came and they mean business, so got the green jacket just for them.
I think I got to get you the green tie to go with that green jacket, though, like Mr. Broman's.
No ties, no ties.
I've loved seeing you step up your game on set here a little bit with the suits.
Just doing it 'cause I'm
some
cold.
more Breeders' Cup news. Mike Smith taking off. Mackenzie, of course. He found him out. He's going to be aboard Yoshida.
And a live mount. And I think it would be an incredible story if Mackenzie's in front and here comes Yoshida.
Can you imagine?
There's a lot of motivation there. Besides the purse.
Well, look, there's going to be a thrill. This horse has a really nice turn of foot, and he'll always show it on the turn, and he'll look like in last year's Breeders' Cup, he looked like he was going to win on the turn, and he just flattens out a little bit. He's one of my favorite horses, so don't get me wrong. I just am a little bit concerned about the distance.
I'm in trouble with my mic here. I don't know if you noticed. I think I'm okay now.
Oh, you look great.
All right.
Coming off a third beat a length in the Woodward, Yoshida, and Mike Smith will hop aboard for the first time as we take a look at the contenders for the big event. Everyone talking about how wide open it seems this year, and 2 horses we saw throw down right here in their final prep for the Classic. Vino Rosso, Code of Honor. Stewart's made a disqualification. Code of Honor, the 3-year-old, awarded the victory over this horse right here, Vino Rosso. But we heard Maggie interviewed Todd Pletcher just the other day on the show, and he said he wishes the race was now because Vino Rosso was doing so good in the mornings.
I'm going to tell you, for two horses that threw it down, hammer and tongue, Vino Rosso and Code of Honor both came out of that Jockey Club Gold Cup in great shape. I picked Vino Rosso in the Jockey Club Gold Cup because I loved the way he trained up to it. I think he's training better now. This work is sensational. Watch him go out after the wire. He's striding out as well as I've ever seen him. It looks like he's actually thrived on that hard race. And he just continues on out. Vino Rosso was elevated in my eyes with the work into the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he's elevated in the Breeders' Cup Classic on this work.
Whether you know what you're looking at when it comes to morning workouts or not, that was a magnificent work. And look, he's training well going into this race, and he's had a win over the racetrack earlier this year.
Yeah.
Everyone you think going to dismiss Mongolian Groom, even though he was able to beat McKenzie in the Awesome Again heading into this?
Yeah, I think they'll dismiss him again. He should be winging out there. I think he'll have a little bit more company. I would imagine Joel Rosario and McKenzie will probably keep him a little bit closer. I think he just ran his best race today. On this day, the circumstances just happened to play into his favor. I'm not interested in him moving forward in the Classic.
I'm not interested in him moving forward, too. This was his Breeders' Cup day. This was his day to shine. He took advantage of it. He got a Grade 1 victory. I don't think he can pull that off again with the kind of company and the depth that he's going to see in the Breeders' Cup field.
He was 25-1 when he beat McKenzie on that day. What do you think he's going to be on Breeders' Cup Day?
He'll be a big price. Yeah, I think he'll be a big price.
Yeah. Upwards of 20 for sure, right?
Yeah, well, you know what's funny is the Giacomo and the Mind That Bird effect, two Kentucky Derby winners. Horses don't go off in big races higher than 50-1 anymore, but I think he'll be a big price.
We'll see. That was a shocking performance. We were sitting here, and we were on a couple hours before that race went off, and Paul Duca was ready to crown McKenzie before that race ever happened. And that surprised everybody.
And I haven't been thrilled with what I've seen from McKenzie since that race. His works, to me, have left a lot to be desired. And not that they won't work on him. He won't spend time in the trainer's room, if you will, and he'll have him as good as he can be on the day. But he has not impressed me since that Awesome Again.
Well, seems so wide open. Could it be maybe a mare who steps up in the Classic? Maggie, your thoughts?
Yeah, as we saw a late breeze today down at Churchill Downs, 34-3. Wow, that's pretty fast as she gets that second to last breeze in before the Breeders' Cup Classic. And it's almost as if Bill Mott's trying to wake her up a bit with this kind of quick type of move where she just really doesn't look like she's moving that fast, just really moving nicely, very swift over that Churchill Downs surface. And because watching some of her previous efforts throughout this year, she just seems possibly a little bit one pace. Maybe he's trying to get her to have a little bit more of a turn of foot, possibly be involved a little bit more earlier, going the 1.25 miles. We'll see. But she is training and doing everything you want to see from a horse heading into the Breeders' Cup Classic. And Meg, I agree with you. For me, McKenzie just hasn't been moving that well since that Awesome Again and in that race. Just behind, he just doesn't look comfortable. As we'll turn our attention, though, to this Sleepy Hollow that's in the paddock. There's 2-year-olds assembled here, and we'll take a look at number 1, City Man, who gets Lasix for the first time. And Christophe Clement has great numbers with this. First-time Lasix, non-first-time starters on the dirt, 5 for 13, 38% with a 4.06 ROI. And I'm wondering last time, because he had to face a little bit of adversity as far as getting kickback in his face, that he just didn't react as well as what you would hope, and he actually learned from it. He's a horse I've always thought longer is better, so he steps forward again from the 7 to the mile, and I like what I'm seeing from City Man. We'll see if he can turn the tables on Cleon Jones. Then a new shooter is number 3, Harris Bay, for John Kimmel. As we talked to him earlier, he's been working this horse with Mr. Buff, so that speaks of his talents. I don't know. For some reason, I liked him a little bit better before his maiden debut. I do think he's a horse that will appreciate more ground. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, he actually was clipped, so his coat not quite as good as what I'd seen back then. But then again, he looks fit, he looks strong. I think he's an interesting new face here in the Iroquois. Stay tuned as we have a new audience joining us here on America's Day at the Races.
rushing fall, and she's too good. She wins the Longines just again.
It's been home to some of the sport's biggest moments, monumental achievements, and extraordinary records. At Santa Anita, we'll set another before the first gate even opens, as the Breeders' Cup returns for a record 10th time. This November, the stars will shine. Champions will be crowned. And when the unbelievable happens, you'll want to be there to see it. The Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Give it 900 and about 900,000. Thank you.
He struck me as a classic distance type horse. The way he moved, his efficiency of his stride.
It was a freakish victory, and it was one of the reasons that made Cupid a horse to really keep an eye on.
To come off a long break like Cupid did, it's almost impossible, and just goes to show you the quality of horse he is.
Next on America's Day at the Races, it's Empire Showcase Day. 2-year-old Colt City Man, the funny side winner at Saratoga, looks to turn the tables on Cleon Jones in the Sleepy Hollow. She's as consistent as can be. 10-time winner on the turf, 55. Tries to repeat, pull off a Ticonderoga triple. And newly minted, she has never lost on dirt, a perfect 4 for 4. Cuts back in distance for Linda Rice and will take on her stablemate, Midnight Disguise, in our co-feature coming up later on today on Empire Showcase Day. Our show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. A beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Elmont, New York. Welcome to those just joining us on MSG Plus and those with us already on Fox Sports 2. Greg Wolf alongside former champion jockey Richard Migliore, 2015 NHC Tour champion Jonathan Kinchin. And you see the fans taking in the action here as each race, as we move forward, gets a little bigger. More important, we'll have that Empire Distaff ahead, and that's where we will see newly minted for Linda Rice, again tackling older horses.
You know, I think for people just tuning in, we've got to say the inside has been showing that it's very good, and I think newly minted plays out as your main speed. And she's going to have the rail, and as tough as she looked to begin with, I think it makes her even tougher.
Now, I woke up this morning, and I like newly minted. I like her even more after we've watched the last few races here on the dirt. The inside has been very favorable. She's going to save ground around there. She's forward. I liked her on handicapping for handicapping reasons before that. Sure. I think that the way the track's playing is going to help her as well.
Let's look at what's already played out here this afternoon on Empire Showcase Day. Talented 2-year-old filly, Critical Value, winning for Jeremiah Engelhardt. Gucci Factor, winning for Christophe Clement in the Mohawk. Mr. Buff in the Empire Classic. He's such a specialist at 1 1/8 now 7 for 10 at that distance for John Kimmel. One of a couple of wins for Chester and Mary Broman as they won with Pause for the Cause as well in the Iroquois.
And just, again, a chance for the New York breds to shine. It's basically a Breeders' Cup day for New York breds. Chester and Mary Broman, tremendous breeders in the state of New York. Mr. Buff was good, and I think Junior Alvarado won the race with that decisive move on the inside about the half-mile pole, Jonathan.
No, I agree. He went down inside. If he would have went around, I'm not sure if Dynamax Max Pride would have caught him on the would have caught him on the outside. Never flipped leads here, but didn't have to. Was still reaching. What a big, gutsy horse, named after our buddy Richie Migliore.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Mr. Buff, huh?
And again, yeah, we heard we may be seeing Mrs. Buff in the not-too-distant future.
Got the sister, Mrs. Buff, so keep it all in the family with the Buffs.
Oh, this is a big horse. We mentioned earlier on the show, 17.2 hands, 11-time winner now. And that was big for him to beat a horse who was coming off the best performance of his career. Pat on the back had just won the Grade 2 Kelso.
Yeah, but I think Pat on the back, Mile 8's getting a little bit past his best. He's been a little bit keen this year, in great form. And maybe that hard race made him take a little step backwards, too.
I completely agree.
Here's what we still have coming up for those of you staying with us here. Races 8 through 11 up next. It's 2-year-olds in the Sleepy Hollow, the Ticonderoga, where 55 is going to try and three-peat in that race. And the Empire Distaff with newly minted and her stablemate, Midnight Disguise. Get signed up, started, play along with all the races we show you each and every day on the program. With Naira Bets, bet $200. You'll get a new member bonus when you use the promo code LIVE at sign-up of $200 in your account. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app. So the Sleepy Hollow coming up next in here. And right now, City Man favored for Christophe Clement, won the first 2 starts, including the funny side of his career, and then he just missed against Cleon Jones. And 3 jokers, and he'll get a chance to turn the tables on those 2 today.
He's making his 4th start. He has foundation. He's got that coveted inside draw that, you know, it seems like it's an advantage. And he's won with varying styles, so you know that he can handle some adversity as well.
No, I thought City Man was extremely impressive up at Saratoga, and right here, you know, he was left a little wanting. He looked like he was going to get there for a second and couldn't get the job done, but the inside draw, like you mentioned, should work in his favor today, and he's getting Lasix for the first time.
Very little separated these 3 when they met last time.
He almost seemed a bit unsure of himself in between horses, City Man. I wonder if he'll be better for that experience. He almost ran a little bit with the emergency brake on, stop and go.
He'll get Lasix this afternoon for start number 4, and here he is, Rosario. He's been on board for each of his 3 starts so far for Christophe Clement.
This colt by Mucho Macho Man, owned by Reeves Thoroughbred. They campaigned Mucho Macho Man, a very consistent horse, trained by Christophe Clement, who sports a win already today with Joel Rosario aboard.
3 jokers. He finished just ahead of City Man and right behind Cleon Jones in that Bertram F. Bond card back on September 20th.
He got a fairly easy lead that day. I prefer the other 2 coming out of that race, but this one could end up on the lead and on the inside.
Harris Bay, impressive first time out for John Kimmel, the son of Carpe Diem.
John Kimmel, the trainer, Ted Sprinkles, Ned Law stable. Harris Bay ran fast first time. Has been working with Mr. Buff, a 2-year-old working with an older horse who just won the Empire Classic. I think there's a lot to like here.
Jeremiah Engelhardt won earlier on the card with that impressive 2-year-old filly. He sends out Captain Bombastic here.
I thought Captain Bombastic could improve off of that performance. Switches from Irad to Jose. Irad obviously going to stay on Cleon Jones. This one's a half-to-highway star. We saw do some good work here in New York.
Cleon Jones, he was the best of the bunch in the Bertram F. Bongard for Jeremiah Engelhardt.
A horse with a lot of foundation, making his 5th start. It's been ultra consistent. He'll be looming from off the pace. He'll have to work out a trip named for the great Mets outfielder, Cleon Jones.
And caught the final out in the Miracle Mets 1969 World Series. 27-1 here on Long Shot Mission. Wrap it up.
27-1 long shot drawn to the outside. I haven't seen a performance that this one's had that would even get this one to hit the board.
All right. Late pick 4 starts here. Appears to be an outsider. 2-1 favorite, though. City Man, but Jeremiah Engelhardt, he's got a couple in this race. Of course, he already won the Maid of the Mist with critical value for 2-year-old fillies earlier on the card. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
And Greg, that's exactly who I want to ask him about, is critical value. Jeremiah, Maid of the Mist winner. She was impressive. Were there any kind of trepidations, or were you very confident about her handling the mile in her 3rd start?
I thought she would be okay going the mile. I got a little discombobulated when I found my stats out from going 6 furlongs with the mile, especially on the turn when she was backing up the last. No, but then, you know, Junior thought that maybe that he was asking her a little too soon, so when he got her back against the bridle, she kind of, you know, dug back in, and then when he asked her again, she responded. So, you know, she's always been just a real gritty filly, and she's hardworking, and it showed today.
Yeah, I thought it was really impressive because we've watched several winners throughout the day on the dirt be on the inside up towards the front end, and she had to do a lot of dirty work.
Yeah, great. Now I was going to say something to my riders in this race about being on the inside. Thanks for that. No, I've been watching this, today, and it seemed like, a couple horses closed, but a lot of the horses have kind of been more towards the inside. So hopefully with my two horses being more towards the outside in this race, it's, they'll be able to find their way over a little bit.
And both winning with kind of loop and swoop trips from behind. But Cleon Jones, obviously, he's the one that is Battle Test's stakes winner. And as you said last time when I interviewed you after that win, the longer the better possibly with him.
Yeah, I really thought more distance with him would definitely be better. He seems like, every race he's kind of really kicked it in late, and hopefully today is the same thing.
Captain Bombastic, that one named after you?
No, one of the owners, Body Shot McGee, was actually named after me. Can I say that?
I can't. Oh my. Anyway, serious talk here,
okay,
but Captain Bombastic.
No, he's not named after me. He was named after one of the owners. And actually, the name is pretty funny, too. They get a good kick out of it. So.
Yeah, I do, too, saying it. But ambitious spot off that maiden victory. But at least it was visually impressive and kind of what you want to see from a horse moving from 6 to a mile.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking this would be our best spot, but it kind of set him up maybe for a race down in the future or in December as far as, cutting back off of this race. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, Maya, well, best of luck here, and you learn something new every day.
Wasn't sure I was coming out with that one.
You said it anyway, and it was hilarious. So always a fun time down here with Jeremiah Englehart, Greg.
He has done such a tremendous job with his 2-year-olds for a long time, but this year it's been incredible. And Captain Bombastic right now, I know we're looking at Cleon Jones, his other one, getting support at the window. 8-1 morning line down to 9-2, making just the second start of his career off that maiden win.
Well, he got off a bit slow that day, and so he had to overcome adversity to get it done, and he should take a step forward. And Jeremiah has done great work. I mean, his dad, Chris Englehart, very successful trainer. A lot of great horsemen come out of Finger Lakes because they're horsemen that have to get the most out of less expensive stock. Horses that probably need as much help from their horsemanship as possible. And Jeremiah, actually a college football draft pick until he got injured, and then he turned to training. Probably worked out better for him.
He's been doing pretty good on the racetrack.
I went with Captain Bombastic mostly because it was bred by Chester Mary Broman, and I got the green jacket on.
Yeah, you're all in with the greens.
No, I feel like this horse feels like the one that's going to enjoy the added distance, going to handle the stretch out. Lightly raced, obviously, just has the maiden win. But the fact that Jeremiah puts him in with Cleon Jones, who's been competitive in stakes races and a stakes winner, he feels like this one matches up pretty well with that. I've always liked the other of a trainer. When he has 2 horses, he puts one in. He knows that they fit.
Yep.
Well, there is the more highly regarded Cleon Jones, more experience as well, and a multiple winner. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And I want to talk about my picking here. Yeah, the track, the way it looks to be playing, doesn't instill that much confidence in me with Cleon Jones. But physically, guys, this horse is just bigger, stronger, and just physically more mature than his foes in here. And I've always thought the more ground he gets to cover, the better he will become. And he's a horse that I've stood by. I'm going to stand by here once again, even if I go down in defeat. Greg?
All right, Maggie. I mean, there's some that, you just love, you follow, and you become fans. Voodoo Song's one of them for me, who narrowly got defeated earlier on the card today. But we'll see. Especially stretched out to a mile here for these 2-year-olds. Having the experience under your belt can't be a bad thing.
Well, I like that foundation. They build into it. A mile's a long way to go for young horses, and you gotta like horses that have had some racing. Saying that, I picked a horse that's only had 1 start at a sprint, but I was there to watch, full disclosure, Harris Bay and Mr. Buff work together, and I thought Harris Bay gave Mr. Buff all he can handle, and that's a big difference between a 2-year-old. That's like a high school kid working out with a really top-class professional. Michael Jordan working out with, let's say, Allen Iverson when he was in high school.
Now, we've talked about it on the show, and even this summer with these workout reports that have kind of come into the picture in the last 10 years, the grades that they give, A-, B+, that's all important. But more importantly for me is I look to see who they were working with and then look those horses up. I think it says a lot about their talent, their ability, and like you said with Harris Bay, working with a horse that, like Mr. Buff, it says a lot.
Well, and I'd be remiss. I brought up the Allen Iverson comparison. We're here talking about practice. we're talking
You
about
always got to
practice.
get that in. You talk about practice whenever we mention AI. But look, he showed it in the afternoon, winning first time out at better than 11-1, and horse who was behind him would come back and win next time out as well.
You know, I always struggle with horses that win first time out and they're not bet, especially in this day and age with how easy it is to communicate and workout videos and workout reports.
Sure. Yep.
When a horse isn't bet on debut, it always kind of has my attention, like, well, why did they run so well that day? If everyone knew this horse was going to run as good as he did,
well, he
probably
beat
would've been
a
bet little
monster favorite that day who had already started, and there was a lot of buzz about that horse.
You know, and I've been saying this all year. I really believe this is the best group of 2-year-olds John Kimmel's had in maybe 20 years. And we saw he won with a big price filly, albeit disqualified, Cristal at Saratoga, who came back to be a stake horse. Some of them don't always show it in the morning, but I know that this group of 2-year-olds has shown a lot of quality.
Famished as well.
Famished, very good. The American Pharaoh colt that ran third first time, I think, you know, he showed that he's a runner in his debut. He'll be better as they go further. I think there's a lot to like here. Again, I go back to the fact that this horse has been working with Mr. Buff, or worked with Mr. Buff last time, and really conducted himself well with him.
There he is in the background on those green and white silks. Dylan Davis will be aboard. He's 2-1, Harris Bay. In start number 2, but there's a look at City Man, Joel Rosario for Christophe Clement. A rematch of your top 3 finishers from the Bertram F. Bongard right here back on September 20th. And the horse who was third of those 3 today is your favorite, City Man.
So great opportunity we're talking about the racetrack, the bias, where you want to be. Find a horse that you like, identify where they're running, and see if they run better or worse than you thought they were going to based on where they are. It's the best way to check it, the best way to have an idea if it's happening or not. Don't just blindly say, oh, horse on the rail one. You don't want to do that.
And look, you have an aggressive rider in Luis Saez on the 2-3 Jokers who's shown he can be on the lead. Does he take advantage here?
You know, listen, I think Luis Saez can make Francis the Mule show speed. I mean, they just leave the gate running for him. I think it has a lot to do with how balanced he has him in the gate, so they don't have to reset when they jump. And I wouldn't be surprised to see 3 Jokers on the lead.
He is 5-1 right now from post 2. It's the Sleepy Hollow 2-year-olds. Win a 1-turn mile as we set it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown. For the call, here's Larry Colmus.
Mission Wrap It Up is the last one to go into the starting gate here. Stepping forward. And they're all in line. They're off in the Sleepy Hollow. City Man broke at the back of the field. 3 Jokers on the inside showing early speed with Captain Bombastic on the outside. These 2 setting the pace just ahead of Harris Bay, who's away running in third behind them. Then Mission Wrap It Up and Cleon Jones. And City Man trails the field early and 4.5 lengths off of 3 Jokers and Luis Saez, who are making this pace through an opening quarter mile in 23.31 seconds. Captain Bombastic, 3/4 of a length behind running in second. Harris Bay is third on the inside. Cleon Jones right alongside. Then comes Mission Wrap It Up and City Man, still trailing and still 5 lengths off of 3 Jokers and Captain Bombastic, who will take them into the turn 1-2. And these 2 will pass the half mile pole a half length apart after a 46.26 quarter. So it's a very honest pace here, and Cleon Jones is 2.5 lengths off of them. And then it's Harris Bay, 4th on the inside. City Man unwinding from 5th. And Mission Wrap It Up is dropped out of contention. Around the far turn, 3 Jokers on the inside. Captain Bombastic alongside. Cleon Jones under pressure. City Man's going to come wide, and Harris Bay is in behind horses and still in with a chance too as they come toward the top of the stretch. Captain Bombastic on the outside has taken over the lead here. Taken over from 3 Jokers, but here come Cleon Jones and City Man, and they're closing together in the center of the track. Captain Bombastic, Cleon Jones, and City Man on the far outside. Here comes Cleon Jones on the outside of Captain Bombastic, who just keeps on digging in. These 2 down to the line, and it looked like Captain Bombastic held on. Cleon Jones was right with him on the wire. Harris Bay and City Man.
Captain Bombastic, it looks like he just hangs on for the win. the other Jeremiah Engelhardt runner.
Look, look, he had Cleon Jones, who was an established horse. He had this horse just coming in off the maiden. These trainers don't want to lose. They don't want to lose for their owners. They don't want to embarrass their owners. They don't put horses in spots, especially guys like Jeremiah, who are doing so well. They don't put horses in spots to get him beat. It's kind of what helped me lead to this one. In fact, our producer just told me in our ear, I changed my pick. My first pick I sent in this morning, I had to change it after I dug a little bit deep. The horse ran really well.
Well, and there we have that Ortiz brother exacta once again. And great call by Jonathan coming up with Captain Bombastic. And it looked like he might get collared by Cleon Jones. Let's see this spot. No, he held him and he fought for it. When Cleon Jones got next to him, he really stuck his head out. The only guy who wasn't rooting from the 8th pole of the wire was Jeremiah Engelhardt. He had it wrapped up one way or the other.
Wow, he's done everything with the 2-year-olds today. Wins the Maid of the Mist with critical value. Completes the exacta here in the Sleepy Hollow with Captain Bombastic and Cleon Jones. Well done to Jeremiah Engelhardt. Team Hanley, your winning owners here. Jose Ortiz aboard for the winning ride. Wow, big improvement here off just one start and a maiden score here at Belmont for this son of 40 Tails.
And the green jacket still rolling with the breeders.
That's
the Bromans there.
How about that? These owners, yeah, a couple of wins today, and now a horse that they bred undefeated in 2 starts, and not easy to do. Stretching out to a mile in just the 2nd start of your career. Captain Bombastic, your winner of the Sleepy Hollow. We'll be back.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including multiple stakes winner Autumn Warrior and Sipacan Harbor, winner of the Grade 1 Spinaway Stakes at Saratoga. On the track, Orb continues to add winners. And in the sales ring, his 2-year-olds have sold up to $250,000 in 2019. Classic winner, classic pedigree, Orb, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by Run Happy, Breeders' Cup Sprint winner. Never lost while sprinting and did it all while racing medication-free. We're going to see his 2-year-olds hitting the racetrack in 2020, now standing at Claiborne Farm for $25,000. Captain Bombastic looks like he has a future in front of him. Wins sprinting at 6.5 furlongs in his debut, now stretches out to a mile, and he has a stakes win on the resume.
Just a nice horse to be that game in his 2nd start, stretching out to a mile. Good call by you, Jonathan.
Gritty did a lot of his running on the outside, too. Nothing about this race changes how I feel about the racetrack. He just ran well. City Man ran well, too. Spent a lot of time down in there, circled on the outside. But Captain Bombastic was very, very impressive.
Saw that margin by a head, better than his stablemate, Cleon Jones. Jose Ortiz, Jeremiah Engelhardt, son of 40 Tails. And the Engelhardt barn, exacta here in the Sleepy Hollow as we head downstairs to Maggie.
And I'm pleased to be standing and joined by, well, the namesake for Captain Bombastic. That's Brian Borgeson, part of Team Hanley. And Brian, what a thrill for you. Your horse that's named after you. Now, I got to tell you, I've been in this game a long time, and horses named after people usually aren't this successful, but he's undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, how great is that? Jay does a great job picking out horses. You know, with I think he got this one, the Bradley Thoroughbred guys. They do a great job for us. New York bred horse, and let's have some fun.
I would say so, Jay.
Huh?
Absolutely, and Jay Hanley probably burst onto the scene with Lady Eli.
Obviously. Yep, and he's had a bunch of other horses, and he's had some great partnerships and stuff, and he picked out Lady Kaza that we had run, who is another New York bred that Chad Brown broke her maiden, and just good success, and Jay is back into it now. He's had some kids, and he's really back into it and happy, and he's a great guy and a smart guy.
He is just that. And you said he's named after you because of the red hair.
Yep.
Anything else?
Well, Jay bought this horse, and they did it to make fun of me. I take a lot of guff from those guys. We have a good time. We enjoy ourselves at the track and enjoy ourselves off the track, and it was a pretty fun day, so.
And,
pretty happy.
I mean, Brian, is it anything to do, I'm going to get my cameraman Matt to pan down here, with the pink Crocs? I mean, Captain Bombastic, the horse doesn't wear pink shoes.
No, I've worn pink Crocs. I'm a boat captain, so I've worn pink Crocs for close to like 20 years now, and it's kind of like my signature thing, and I've worn them in the winter circle here before and everywhere else, so it's been good.
It's always good to have a signature thing. You also have a signature horse. Congratulations with Captain Bombastic.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What an afternoon.
I bet. Well, enjoy yourself as Captain Bombastic. Greg, well, he's undefeated, and wow, what a step forward from that maiden victory.
That was impressive, but I don't think anything's more impressive than those pink Crocs.
You guys know I like some shoes, and those are pretty remarkable.
I wouldn't want a horse to step on my foot with one of those on.
Wow, can we get some for Captain Bombastic?
Does he have socks on? And my toes would be so cold without socks.
It's a little chilly out here. Excuse me, late pick 5, 295,000 in that pool. We have not had a favorite win so far. A couple of upsets in the first two legs with a long way to go. Ticonderoga coming up next.
Tizelle on the outside, Barrel of Dreams along the rail, 55, an Ancient Secret rolling now. Here's 55, and she's kicked it in to take the lead, and from the back of the pack, Flip Cup is coming late. It is going to be 55 and Javier Castellano to win it over Flip Cup. Moneda and 55 go past Conquest Hard Candy with a furlong to run. La Moneda 55, 55 and La Moneda, and 55 turns it on late. 55 in the Ticonderoga.
So 55, she'll line up yet again in the Ticonderoga, looking for the Ticonderoga triple, trying to win it 3 years in a row for Chad Brown, owner Peter Brandt. And Jonathan, you and I were talking about her last performance in the Hettinger, and it doesn't matter what kind of trip she gets. Slow pace, wide. She was 4 wide around both turns in that race. She still ran everybody down.
Yeah, she's remarkable. It doesn't matter if the pace is fast, slow, she's wide, she's losing ground. She always seems to find a way to get the job done. What a cool New York bred, and I think she's going to be tough today as well.
She's fun to watch do her thing. She's 6 for 10 here at Belmont, and she's just loves to find the wire.
She really does. What's interesting, too, she really doesn't pick up any weight off of these victories. She's carrying the same weight as Munchkin Money, who's not nearly as accomplished. So I guess the way the conditions of the race was written, it really actually benefits her. The fact that she only gets hit with 123 pounds, not really giving weight to pretty much anybody. I mean, there's a 3-pound spread for the whole field.
Well, off a win, and there she is. Off a win in the John B. Hettinger last time out. She's actually going to carry less weight today. And this was a race where she was 4 wide around both turns. Still got up for the win over War Canoe.
Not an ideal turf trip to be grinding wide off a slow pace. But like you said, John, she just keeps finding ways to win.
No, look, I thought she was going to get beat here, whether it was because the pace was so slow, she had no position, she ran extremely well. War Canoe ran well here too, but it felt like 55 had her measured, and she was never going to get by her.
It feels like, though, the one who had the best shot against her that day, her race was over from the start. Munchkin Money tossed her head out of the gate. She was pulled up out of the race. She had come into that race in probably the best form of her career. Looked like she was maybe going to be tough and maybe give 55 a fight. We didn't get to see her run a race that day. Might be a different story today.
Well, if she gets away good, you know, she's in close proximity to 55. And to me, if there's going to be an upset, Munchkin Money is your most likely upsetter.
Everyone's got to beat this one here, though. 55, 5-year-old mare, 10-time winner on the turf, trying to win this race for the 3rd consecutive year in the Ticonderoga.
It's America's original sport. And no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle. The best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Run Happy, you know, he's 16-2, he's a beautiful horse. There's stamina on top and bottom, and he's stamping his horses with that. I think they look big and fast, and like horses that'll go on and run a distance as well as short.
He was a fantastic racehorse, and if he passes on his ability as a racehorse, I think he's a slam dunk to be a great sire. Very athletic looking and beautiful bodied horse as well.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
That time at Oaklawn, win a home run. Made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races as we are celebrating New York breds here on this beautiful fall day. It's Empire Showcase Day, and if you want any more information, check out NewYorkBreds.com. As I'm pleased to be joined by Executive Director of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders Association, Jeff Canizzo. And Jeff, it's always fun to catch up with you on these big days, but I also want to talk about not only do we showcase New York breds and they have their own stakes on these kind of days, but they're also very and highly competitive in open graded stakes company. And just this past 2 weekends ago, we saw Tiz the Law win the Grade 1 Champagne. How impressed were you with that horse?
I think he's your early Derby favorite, and it was really special. And he's clearly a special horse. They're going to be patient with him and take a classic route, and he's exciting. I think that's what every owner wants, to be in a position of that. So I'm very happy for them and all the people involved. 16
years ago since Funny Side, same connections.
It's really amazing. They might have to get another school bus next year, but it's great. It's great. They say that every 10 years or every decade it comes around, you get a special horse, and this might be their next special horse.
That is so cool. And two, we dug in, we did a little research. There's been 52 New York bred millionaires throughout the years. Obviously some race in Japan. If you're checking out the graphic, you don't recognize the names, but potential millionaire or to gain millionaire status in here with 55. Obviously the slogan says it pays to have a New York bred. It truly does.
It does. It'd be interesting to see how many other states stack up with that number of millionaires in terms of regional programs. It's impressive. It goes to show you, it's a testament of the purse structure and the money available to state-bred horses and how it's lucrative to own them. Hopefully 55 can add to that list, and again, it's an advantage to be involved with the New York bred program.
Yeah, she stands at 917,000 heading into this race. If she wins, she obviously gets over the mark. But Jeff, also, this is our final of the 3 showcase days, but there are still some New York bred exclusive races, including Stallion Series races as well for the rest of this year.
There is. So NYRA offers roughly an $8.5 million New York bred restricted stakes program. There's several more that are going to be a part of Aqueduct, and at the end of the year we have 2 $500,000 stallion stakes races, of the largest stallion stakes in the country. They'll be pretty special to see, and it's something new here in New York. We keep trying to add to the program every year and do things differently, attract more people from out of state into New York, which benefits everyone here.
Jeff, I have to congratulate you on probably the leading program as far as state-bred horses are concerned in the country. I mean, just year in and year out, coming up with different ways to showcase them and their many talents.
Thank you very much. It's a testament to the people breeding here. It's a testament to what NYRA's doing, the state, and everyone involved. And we continue to want to push excellence. So today, like today, really shows it.
That you've done. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, Greg, Jeff Canizzo, Executive Director of the New York Thoroughbred Breeders, and boy, have they put on quite a show for us on this Empire Showcase Day.
Arguably the best state-bred program in the entire country. And 55, she's already proven in her career she can compete and win against Open Company. Former Grade 3 winner with a win today. Becomes a millionaire. Javier Castellano will be in the silks of Peter Brand on 55. Our heavy favorite coming up in the Ticonderoga.
Flatter. This prolific son of A.P. Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast. This year, he's adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record, including Sovereign Award winner Avies Flatter. In the auction ring, his yearlings have topped the Fasig-Tipton July sale 2 years in a row. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter, standing at Cleveland Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and NYRA Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With NYRA Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the NYRA Bets app or visit NYRABets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NYRABets.com.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
Feel my love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing 1, 2. The Star Guitar filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing 1, 2.
Feel my love for you. Coming on strong.
Highland Strike, Feathered, and Terravine all in close pursuit. Irish Daisy is there on the far outside. Try and Sue and Bridal Glow. Dance with the Bride trying to hang in there for another furlong. But here comes Terravine, who forges past. It's Terravine to the front. Terravine the leader and pulling away from Dance with the Bride. Irish Daisy moving too late. Here's the line, and Terravine the winner by 3 on the wire.
That was a 1998 Ticonderoga, and that jockey looked familiar.
He's getting Miggy with it.
Two-time winner of this race, Mig.
Yeah, actually won it on Irish Daisy the year before for trainer Leo O'Brien. And then this was for Christophe Comant. Set that beautiful pocket trip. This is a filly out of Belong to Me, one of Christophe Comant's first nice horses. And just got a perfect trip. Got the money at 9-1. You would have liked that price, huh?
You were working with that left hand, weren't you? I saw you.
Yeah, I was getting Miggy with it.
Actually started her career on the dirt, and then first 2 starts on turf, you were on board for both. won by a combined 9 lengths, including that victory we just showed you in the Ticonderoga.
Yeah, what belonged to me was a dirt sprinter, and I guess that was the thought process behind the dirt, but she certainly loved the turf. And she had more of a turf kind of body to her.
Christophe Clement is going to try and win the race this year again with Munchkin Money. We were both surprised talking off air here. We're seeing still, well, 9-1 right now on, I thought, the most likeliest upsetter in the field.
Yeah, I'm surprised she's that price. I mean, you got to think she's going to go down, though, as we get closer to post time.
I would think so, but obviously just that poor performance last time, obviously there was an excuse there, but I think when people look down, they just see beating all those lengths and not running
She
well.
didn't even get to run. She pulled up immediately outside of the race. She put a line through that, I think. 21-1 on Wish Upon with Luis Saez.
Inside speed with Luis Saez. I think she'll be part of the pace. I don't know that she'll be around later.
36-1 JK on Broken Border.
Ran 8 days ago, but did win by 4 lengths when she did.
6-time winner, over 294,000 on turf for Broken Border. War Canoe was chasing 55 home last start to run second.
Ultra consistent filly, tries hard every time, been popular at the claim box as of late, and gave 55 a little bit of a run.
Here she is, 55. She's been a lot of fun to watch. She's won 5 of her last 7 starts.
Looking for her 7th win here at Belmont, also looking to be the next New York bred millionaire.
Kid is Frosty. We saw run a couple of times at Saratoga this summer. It's a big step up.
I tried hard to make a case for this horse just to get kind of having one of those forward trips and has some nice numbers. I just don't think she's good enough to hold off 55.
8-1 now. Munchkin Money, that price starting to come down a bit for Christophe Clement, Junior Alvarado aboard.
I think you're 100% right, Greg. Put a line through the last race, gate woes, pulled up. She is competitive, and I think she's the most likely upsetter if 55 is to be upset.
Still, that is a tall task. Trying to beat 55, who again is looking for her 3rd Ticonderoga win in a row. As we approach the 6-minute mark to post, let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, Greg, as you guys were just talking about, I am flabbergasted, at least at the current price of number 7, Munchkin Money. I don't have much access to what the Will pays and the multi-race wagers are telling you about her odds at post time, what they're likely to be. But other than 55, I thought she was the next best, at least physical option in the paddock. And two, I say that because in her last couple of efforts, she's gotten kind of hot, washy, a little nervous. Even going back to when she won 3 starts ago, she actually didn't necessarily flip over, but she reared up and kind of fell on her side. She was fine, and Christophe made the right call, obviously, to let her run. But today's the most calm and focused I've seen from her. She hasn't gotten hot. She's been with the pony the whole time. They kind of kept her away from the walking ring, and obviously she just didn't get out of the gate. Poor Christophe Clement did not have a very good gate day as far as Gucci Factor and her were concerned, and I love what I'm seeing from her here. I think she's a serious player. As we'll take a look at War Canoe, and she's danced every dance. She had a good trip. It was a good effort, too, going back to that John Hettinger behind 55. But she's solid. She looks great here. Second off the claim for Linda Rice, who actually began her career. So a reclaim now as a 6-year-old for the Linda Rice barn. And, I mean, she looks fantastic warming up out there. She's just as honest as they come. I have a lot of respect for War Canoe. Now, the 3-year-old is taking a little bit of play for Brad Cox on the board, but that's probably because of the scratches. Kid is Frosty. On form, I can't say I love her, but I will also say that she was probably helped out by the scratch, obviously, of her stablemate, number 5, Dream Passage, as well as English Soul in here, because she could actually work out the trip as being the pace setter in here, and she was sharp heading out to the racetrack, sharp on the racetrack, on her toes. And a lot of times when you're looking at these 3-year-olds and how they stack up against older company, she has the size, she has the scope, and just the overall strength and stamina appearance to her to suggest that she does add up and stack up with these older horses as she returns back to the turf for Brad Cox. Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Everyone's got to beat 55 in this spot. Maggie alluded to it, too. So, yeah, September 22nd was not a great day for the Clement barn. Munchkin Money didn't get out well, was immediately pulled up out of this race when she faced 55 in the John B. Hettinger. Gucci Factor didn't get out of the gate in the Ashley T. Cole. Gucci Factor came back to win earlier today in the Mohawk. We'll see if Munchkin Money can have a better showing this afternoon as well.
Well, if she gets away from the gate clean, Maggie says she's acting better. She has had some bad habits, and she looks a little bit quirky, if you will. And I just think maybe being drawn outside 55, if she can help compromise her trip within the boundaries of the rules, she, to me, is the most likely upsetter. 55 is the best horse, but she still got to get a trip. It's turf racing.
Right. The good thing about 55, I think, if you've singled in some multi-race wagers, or if you like betting to win at 2 to 5, I think she's just the type that it doesn't matter what happens. She just quickens faster than everyone else. It doesn't really matter what trip she gets. Obviously, she gets a really bad trip and has, getting stopped. Outside of that, I don't see how she gets beat without getting stopped. I don't care if she's wide, if she's tucked out inside, if there's no pace, if there is pace. She always seems to find a way when she's facing these New York breds. Look, she was right there behind Significant Form in the Open Division race up at Saratoga, so I just think she's just better than these.
I will say this, and yeah, she's won 5 of her last 7 starts. Those 2 defeats, they were, as you mentioned, open company, graded stakes races, but her last 3 defeats have also come at a mile and 1/16 today's distance.
And it is the inner turf, a little bit tricky out of that chute there. I just think that if I'm riding a contender in this race, I've got to find her, and I've got to shadow her, and I've got to try to make life difficult for her.
So difficult to beat because, yeah, that turn of foot late from her is devastating. As you look at Munchkin Money, the 6-year-old mare in here for Christophe Clement, 6 to 1 on the board, Junior Alvarado. And the last time she won, Alvarado was aboard.
And came through very tight quarters that day, was really blind switched and showed a lot of courage to do that. And understand the way I'm approaching this as a former rider. 55 is the best horse. The path to the winner's circle goes clearly through her. The only way you can win is if you beat 55. So she becomes the hunted. And sometimes when everybody's aware of where the 1 to 2 favorite is, and now the field is smaller, and that makes it easier for guys to be aware of where everybody is, that's when horses get compromised trips. We see it more in small fields than we do big fields, where a horse can get lost in a big field.
No, I completely agree. That's the way. If you want to win, if you want to beat her, you're going to have to get in her way. Allowing her to sit there in the 3 or 4 path and kick home when she wants to kick home is not going to be a winning recipe. Look, I like War Canoe. If I had to pick one other than 55, I would go with the 3-horse War Canoe, who was right behind 55 last time, closing into that slow pace. War Canoe was claimed off of Contessa by Gargan. Gargan wins. And then Linda takes the horse and for the same price. And I actually thought that, ran a winning race last time. So I think if someone is gonna beat 55 if she stubs her toe, I think it's going to be War Canoe.
Yeah, and I just, you look at that race, though, and it just shows you the disparity. It was a good race from War Canoe, and War Canoe's talented. We're talking about the 3-horse in here at 9 to 2, but it just shows you how superior 55 is if you go back and watch that last race.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She was never getting by her. And I tell you what, watching War Canoe warm up, she could not look any better. I mean, she's carrying great weight. Her coat is resplendent. And this time of year, you start seeing some of these fillies and mares going over the top. I'm not seeing that with the favorite either. I think she looks just as good as she has all year. 55's the best horse. I'm taking a stab. Munchkin Money gets a different, a better trip and gets lucky.
Look, and I know we're giving you lots of alternatives. A lot of people don't like to play 1 to 2 shots or looking for some more value. Kid is Frosty is interesting from a pace situation. The horse is going to be forward, has the 2 races up at Saratoga, or the race at Saratoga and the race down here downstate of Belmont where she won. Obviously, it has to step up a little bit to be able to compete with these, but she does have a tactical advantage in this race, depending on what happens with the 2 broken border. Obviously, if Dylan wants to be aggressive with her to send her away from there, I'd imagine Kid is Frosty will be on the front end, and Irad and Brad Cox are pretty dangerous in situations like this.
Do you think there's any chance Saez is aggressive from the rail with Wish Upon?
Well, I think all of us watching Luis Saez over all these, this summer and into the fall, will he be aggressive? I'm certain he will be, especially with the inside draw. So Wish Upon will probably show speed, but I don't think she's naturally as fast as some of these.
No, she can trick you a little bit with the 1s and the 2s and her PPs. All of those races were slow paces.
Slow paces, yeah.
The 4:55 trying to win the Ticonderoga for a 3rd consecutive year. We send it upstairs for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Kid is Frosty. He'll be the next one to move into line. Steps forward and goes in. And Munchkin Money goes in. They're all in line. They're off in the Ticonderoga. And it's Wish Upon immediately for the early lead. Kid is Frosty. It's going to go up on the outside of Wish Upon, and it's these two with the most early speed from Broken Border, and 55 is fourth early on ahead of War Canoe and the trailer Munchkin Money. So on to the back stretch here, and it is Wish Upon the leader, and a bit hard to control here is Kid is Frosty running in second on the outside, Headstrong in that position. Another 2 lengths back to Broken Border alongside of 55, then Munchkin Money, and now the trailer is War Canoe. 24.19 was that first quarter. Up the backstretch they go. Wish Upon the leader. On top by a length, Kid is Frosty, trying to settle in second. 55 taken to a clear path outside of horses. Broken Border is right up there too. War Canoe is on the inside, and Munchkin Money is only 3 lengths behind now. They're a very tight pack behind Wish Upon, who went 48.2 for the first half mile and heads for the far turn in front. Kid is Frosty is second, 55 is third, and now ranging up outside of Kid is Frosty moving into the turn. And then a ground-saving run for War Canoe, Broken Border alongside, and Munchkin Money. Wish Upon the leader just a half a length. Kid is Frosty, 55 is just outside of them. Now the three of them are right together as they make their way toward the top of the stretch. Wish Upon turning for home in front. 55 now let loose on the outside, and here she comes up and after Wish Upon at the 8th pole. And then it's War Canoe finishing well into third, followed by Munchkin Money and Kid is Frosty, and Wish Upon is fighting 55, a 16th out, but 55 has taken over, and 55 is just too good. Winning the Ticonderoga, Wish Upon a gallant second, and then it was War Canoe and Munchkin Money.
A three-peat in the Ticonderoga for 55. She does it again, and wow, give some credit to Luis Saez on Wish Upon. Tried to steal this race early, hung in there for second.
Well, he was aggressive. He made the lead, and 55 becomes the 53rd New York bred millionaire. And Jonathan, you called it 100%. She just finds a way to win. It doesn't matter pace, it doesn't matter trip. She just has these horses over a barrel.
Right, I didn't even look at the fractions. It just didn't matter. She was in such a good position. You know, I'm not really sure why Kid is Frosty and Irad didn't go ahead and go on with it there. They were going slow enough in that position to give her best shot. And then even a horse like War Canoe, when they turned for home about the quarter pole, you said to me, and I agreed with you, looked loaded. Yep. And loaded or not, didn't have nearly enough to run with 55. Another one of those horses today that you could visually see her accelerate, just like we saw earlier.
Yep. 1-5 in the end. She's just something else to watch. She now is 11 for 22 lifetime. She won 6 of her last 8 starts, and when she lines up against New York bred company, she just has them over a barrel.
You think she looks over in the gate and goes, I got this, girls?
She was 4 wide again in this race. Did not matter at all. 55. Back to back to back in the Ticonderoga. Stay with us.
Go from Railbird to Winner Circle. With My Racehorse, you have access to top horses and trainers, backside tours, exclusive ownership experiences, and fast payouts to your online account. With shares starting as little as $100, the Winner Circle is waiting for you. Go to myracehorse.com or download the My Racehorse app today to join the thousands who have already started their journey as a racehorse owner.
It's been home to some of the sport's biggest moments, monumental achievements, and extraordinary records. At Santa Anita, we'll set another before the first gate even opens, as the Breeders' Cup returns for a record 10th time. This November, the stars will shine. Champions will be crowned. And when the unbelievable happens, you'll want to be there to see it. The Breeders' Cup World Championships.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Run Happy was a really nice racehorse. The biggest attribute that I see about him is the way he stamps his foals. You know, they got big, pretty walks on them. They got good hips and shoulders. Very pretty to look at. And, you know, a real strong hind leg. You know, everything that you're looking for as a racehorse. You know, that's what impresses me.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Thanks for spending part of your Saturday afternoon with us here on America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2 and MSG Plus. 55, she does it again. Third consecutive year she's won the Ticonderoga. She's now won 6 of her last 8 starts and now 11 wins in her career. She goes over the $1 million mark in earnings. 5-year-old mare by Get Stormy, owned by Peter Brandt, trained by Chad Brown.
And I guess the value there was underneath the aggressive Louis Saez. For $1, your exact comeback $14.70, and I guess you could make that Wish Upon would make the lead with Louis. She sprung out of the gate, but 55's the story. What a good, consistent mare, and Peter Brandt back in the game in a big way.
Well, this has been a real fun one to watch over the years. 55 just continuing to do her thing. She is so consistent, so good. A couple of decent prices, certainly Captain Bombastic in the Sleepy Hollow, and one that was probably a free square for most playing this late pick 5 with 55.
Yeah, you talk about 55. It's really hard to win this many races as a off-the-pace turf type. You got to run into bad trips, to getting stopped, to being wide, to no pace. She overcomes all of it.
And now she's a millionaire. She's been a cash machine. Daughter of Get Stormy. As you see Javier Castellano, he's been her main pilot over the last few years. And there's Chad Brown continuing to win, just loaded as he does it with another fun one in his barn who's been so consistent. As we head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Here with Javier Castellano, winning rider aboard 55, and he's been aboard for a lot of those wins. And Javi, watching her, I don't know if it's something different this year or it's just a factor of the pace scenarios. She's been a bit closer in her last couple efforts.
Yeah, Maggie, I think today the way he set it up, the pace, no pace in the race, I think I had to use a little bit. I think I got the best horse in the race. I don't want to put it too much complicated horse. I think she's the best. I think I want to put a good performance today. Definitely, before she come from behind, but this time, the way the pace set it up, no pace in the race, I put in good position to win the race.
I think that's what makes her so excellent, and now a millionaire, New York bred, is that you can put her wherever you need to be, and she responds.
Absolutely, the way she did it today, amazing, you know. She's a millionaire, and she got good heart, she always try hard, and I think I'm very lucky and part of it, the feeling.
That you are fun to watch her. Congratulations, Javi.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, Javier Castellano, once again victorious with 55, guys.
Maggie, thanks. You just fit here perfectly, Javier. And there's Peter Brandt, left side of your screen there. Back, as you said, in a major way. He's going to have his sister Charlie try and repeat Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf in just a couple of weeks. And we still got a big one coming up. Our co-feature on this Empire Showcase Day is the Empire Distaff newly minted 4-for-4 on dirt. She'll have the inside post. She's 8-5 right now, but Radikowski ran just a monster race here at Belmont back on September the 11th.
But post positions could play a factor in here. As we've witnessed, the inside seems to be where you want to be. Newly Minted's already there. Radajowski's going to have to work her way over, although she's got speed to create her own trip.
No, I do. I think she can for sure. My biggest concern, obviously, with her is that she's a 5-year-old, so I feel like we've probably seen her best. That was her best performance to date, and I think it's probably kind of maybe could be her ceiling. Newly Minted, on the other hand, a 3-year-old, has a lot of opportunities to improve.
We're going to step aside for a short break. We're going to talk Juvenile when we return, and look who's back to work. Maybe the horse to beat in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Dennis's moment. He's been brilliant in his 2 victories. We'll have more when we come back.
I'm a firm believer you don't put the saddle on the pedigree. I bought him strictly because of his physique, his conformation. And then when you looked at the pedigree, it was the perfect blend. Run Happy was an incredible, incredible racehorse, being supported by Airdrie Stud, who raises an incredible animal. To breed one of their best mares to him speaks volumes. It ended up producing an incredible result in this horse, and we just hope he runs to his looks and his pedigree.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Eclipse champion Blaine was considered by many as the breakout stallion of 2018. His top runners included Grade 1 winner and Eclipse Award finalist Marley's Freedom, plus Grade 1 winner Fault, and graded stakes winners Morale, Beyond Blaine, Miss Kentucky, and Blaine. This year, his 2-year-olds have sold up to $700,000. Outstanding results, outstanding value. Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. 2 weeks away from championship weekend out on the West Coast, it's Santa Anita and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Few big names in there, including Dennis's moment for Dale Romans. Lost the jockey after clipping heels in the debut, and then put up a 97 buyer. Next time out at Ellis, followed it up with a win in the Iroquois at Churchill.
He was very impressive this day. He had Irad Ortiz up for the first time, and Irad got the job done, has been training well. Dale Romans isn't shy. He'll tell you if he's got a good one. I met him in the airport a couple years back, and he told me about a horse by the name of Not This Time that went all the way down to the wire with Classic Empire in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He's been touting this horse as well, Dennis's moment. He's got to run into some big horses with 8 rings and a couple of the other ones, but Dennis's moment is something special.
I was on the racetrack yesterday, Mig, at Churchill Downs, 5 furlongs in 58-3.
And about as easy as you're going to see a young horse go 5 furlongs in 58-3. Tammy Fox aboard here. Horses tend to work fast with her, but like I say, it's not how fast you're going, it's how you're going fast. This guy does it well, never looks like he's really digging in. Actually eased off the pole the first 56 yards, very contained, and then he really jumped in his work with enthusiasm. Big gallop out. This is a very good colt, and I love the fact that he showed the ability to rate in the Iroquois with Irad Ortiz. Kind of test drove him. He went wire to wire when he broke his maiden. This time he took some kickback. He showed that he can wait for the rider's cues and turn it on and off the way the rider wants him to. Makes him doubly tough.
You guys believe he's the one to beat in the juvenile?
I think it's 8 rings. I think 8 rings for Bob Baffert's the one
8 rings
that you want to try to beat in there. I thought that his performance with Johnny Velasquez on for the first time, I think he was going to run well at Del Mar until he lost the rider, but I think 8 rings is on his home court, on a racetrack he's done well in, and 8 rings is maiden performance was stunning.
Yeah. If it was at Churchill, I think you lean a little more to Dennis's moment. I'm still going to use Dennis's moment, I think, over 8 ring, but I mean, you make very valid points.
And you can't forget about Maxfield, who was very impressive at Keeneland a couple weeks ago.
We'll be back. We still have our co-feature to come. The Empire Distaff and newly minted 4 for 4 on the main track. We'll cut back in distance. 3-year-old filly by Central Banker for Linda Rice. Stay with us. We'll return.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. He traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. Now his progeny are hitting the track. His first winners include Saratoga standout Vast, with juveniles selling for over $400,000 and yearlings bringing up to $650,000. The sky is the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's been home to some of the sport's biggest moments, monumental achievements, and extraordinary records. At Santa Anita, we'll set another before the first gate even opens, as the Breeders' Cup returns for a record 10th time. This November, the stars will shine. Champions will be crowned. And when the unbelievable happens, you'll want to be there to see it. The Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
12 categories covering the best of the sport and lifestyle, all decided by the fans. It's the America's Best Racing Fan Choice Awards.
You're watching America's Day at the Races and the ABR Fan Choice Awards. Voting taking place November 6th through the 20th with all these intriguing categories. Best Racetrack Cocktail. Had some good ones at Saratoga this summer.
Me too. Can I vote for Mig for Best Jockey?
Yeah, I don't think I'm eligible anymore.
All right.
Should be a category
Thank you,
next year,
though.
Best Retired Jockey. I'd vote for you.
Okay.
We can't leave out our boy Gary. I'd submit both. I'd get
Yeah,
two
it would be a
different
tie.
emails.
By the way, our own Paula Duca going to be co-host of that awards show when it takes place. Empire Distaff co-feature coming up. Newly minted 3-year-old filly for Linda Rice, 9-5. Current favorite as we send it downstairs for a paddock report and check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
And we'll check in with both the Linda Rice entrants in here, Greg, as we'll begin with the 3-year-old, as that is newly minted. And I noted last time that, you know, she's just kind of so classy and athletic in the same breath that really she can kind of handle any distance, in my opinion. Now, this is the first time outside of her maiden score, first time out that she's faced some older company. You can kind of tell she's facing older company here in the paddock against some fairly accomplished runners, but still she's ultra fit, kind of second off of that little bit of a break in the middle of the summer. She looks good. She always presents herself well. And I feel fairly confident, though I'm quite intrigued by her stablemate in here. That's number 9. Gosh, Midnight Disguise, I was about to call her Holiday Disguise, her sister. But she kind of missed the summer, and she is a filly that just looks more well-suited to the Belmont and its circumference and the way it's put together, as opposed to Saratoga, because she's so big and so rangy that just this one-turn mile here at Belmont just feels a little bit better for her. I don't know why she missed Saratoga, but that's just something I picked up with her physically. But coming back here, she looks so fit. And even the race before the layoff, I thought she ran really well, considering she doesn't win any part of 6 furlongs. This one-turn mile is her gig. This is her thing, at least from what you observe from her, and she looks fantastic. Granted, she always does, but I just feel like she's coming back in the right kind of spot for Linda. Now, possible speed horse is the 5-year-old mare, who is only making her 6th start of her career, but Radikowski, she has been impressive, especially her last victory against the state bred second level allowance, and she looks fantastic here. I mean, I really can't fault her whatsoever. Her last race, it was a big win. She was impressive, and you could tell that she kind of wanted to do more despite it already being a fast pace, and Jose kind of kept her out in the middle of the racetrack to try to keep her away from engaging with that other pace setter that day. But she looks great here. I was a little worried maybe that race took a bit out of her, but you can't tell that here physically whatsoever. Her energy and everything with her physically is right where it needs to be, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. And she doesn't need to improve to win this race. Everyone else needs to if she runs the same race she ran last time.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jonathan, you made very good points about how 3-year-olds take step forwards, and Newly Minted certainly fits that bill, doesn't she?
She should, yeah. I mean, obviously, being a 3-year-old trying that 9 furlongs last time, but Radikowski was phenomenal in this race right here. Now, she went back down to Keeneland, so she did have to ship up, and doesn't have to be a concern, but it is something at least to note that she did have to get back up here, and sometimes that can take a little bit out of them. But, you know, look, I think the favorite is just as a 3-year-old, the way she ran going that 9 furlongs off of a break, first time going that long, she was unbelievably impressive. She was eased down. She didn't even run a mile and 1/8 in here. It feels like she almost ran
ran a mile and then was kind of galloped out the 1 1/8. She was eased down. She's got a beautiful, efficient stride, extremely well named by Central Banker out of Newly Minted. I like when horses have clever names surrounding their pedigree.
And if you've been paying attention all day, this one's bred by the Bromans as well. They've been on fire today.
A couple of wins as owners, as breeders as well, with Captain Bombastic in the Sleepy Hollow. And we'll see. She is a 7-5 favorite. You can bet this race, all the races we show you each and every day here on the program. With Naira Bets, bet $200, you'll get a $200 bonus in your account for being a new member when you use that promo code LIVE at sign up. Take advantage. Play along with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com or download that Naira Bets app to get involved. There is Radikowski. 90 Beyer speed figure in that victory last time out. You know, we saw her at Saratoga. She looked a little shaky in that victory. And so I think a lot of people were not all that impressed. She showed us a whole nother level when she came here to Belmont.
Well, it looked like she really appreciated the one turn. You know, big, kind of long, rangy Drosselmeyer filly out of a quiet American mare. And it just seemed like she was able to build into that rhythm. Now, she was going very fast, but she was doing it the right way. Maybe she didn't like the 2 turns of Saratoga. We talked about that earlier, how handier horses seem to do better in Saratoga, and longer striding horses do better at Belmont.
Her daddy liked it at Belmont, Drosselmeyer.
Sure did.
Here they come for a post parade. You know, Belmont Stakes winner. Of course, we'll get a classic as well. Drosselmeyer. Here's Newly Minted. Linda Rice, Beach Haven Thoroughbreds, Jose Lezcano.
Only blemish on her record was when she tried turf. Perfect on the dirt, inside drawer on a track that looks like it's favoring inside runners. A lot to like here for the favorite.
Silks we know well. Michael Dubb, Bethlehem Stables. Jason Service sends out Bonita Bianca.
Yeah, she's been off form, but she'll need to find her 2018 Empire Distaff form to win this race.
Big long shot. Might be 44-1. Blinkers going on, Bruce Levine.
First time without blinkers. Last time really well beaten, just basically eased. It gets the blinkers back on, and Dylan Davis, who has had success with her in the past.
Expect her to be forwardly placed and see how far she can take this group. Our Supernova, Charlie Baker, Junior Alvarado.
Got the job done last time, but the time wasn't very fast, and that therefore the speed figure wasn't very fast either.
No Hain, no gain. 27-1, Steve Asmussen.
Tough spot here, but Steve Asmussen knows how to win races. Toby Sheets, his assistant here, part owner of this one. She must be doing well.
Out of orbit. More pace to the party here, trained by Phil Serpy.
She got loose in the Saratoga Dew, where she had two other stablemates for the Bromans in that race.
Here's Unbridled Adventure, just claimed by Michael Tenuzzo.
Who is 1-for-1 at Belmont, is winning at 18% on the year. She's rightfully a very long shot. With Pablo Fragoso aboard, don't be surprised if she shows speed that she hasn't shown before.
Held accountable. Another Phil Serpy runner, Eric Cancel rides.
She had a tricky trip last time on the turf, and if you go back to her Saratoga Dew, where her stablemate got loose, she ran pretty well that day.
Newly Minted's stablemate, 4-year-old filly, daughter of Midnight Disguise, the sister to Holiday Disguise, who we saw run earlier.
The other Linda Rice has got a nice record at Belmont. 3 starts, a first, second, and third, and I think she'll need to be a little faster, though.
Here's Radikowski, 2-1. Jose Ortiz, Brian Lynch.
She was extremely impressive last time. Will she improve as a 5-year-old? I think she'll need to. I think the rail runner is going to improve.
Take Charge Aubrey rounds out the field, 66-1, Bruce Levine.
Had good form last year, has not shown that form this year. She'd have to turn it around.
All right, so that's our field for our co-feature today, this Empire Distaff, and a lot of money squarely on the 3-year-old filly, trying to keep that perfect dirt record intact, newly minted. But we'll see. It's a tough task here, taking on older horses for the first time as a winner.
No doubt. Always taking on older horses. So this is the time of year. This is, you know, kind of traditionally when 3-year-olds really start taking on the older horses, the fall of the year. She's going to have to be good, but she's got the inside. And going back after watching that Fleet Indian and how much she was eased up through the wire, the Beyer speed figure does not do justice to how she won that race.
No, but I like the fact that the Beyer speed figure she got when she broke her maiden fits with these. She did that in April, and now it fits with these horses that are older. And so if she can just continue to improve. Look, she was eased up last time, trying the mile on 8th for the first time. I'm not really worried about the figure last time. I look more back to the figure that she earned on debut. If she can find that form and continue to improve, likes the inside draw, likes the one-turn mile, she could be tough.
But she would have run a lot bigger Beyer figure if she had been ridden out, which she wasn't. I mean, she basically cantered under the line last time.
Right, I know a lot of times the idea that, oh, they could have run faster can sometimes be a false notion. But she could have run faster.
No, that time it was apparent. I mean, she was geared down, her ears went up, she slowed way down, and she set very fast fractions. For Saratoga, when they go a sub 47 half, going a mile and an 1/8, only superior horses can win doing that.
Right.
3 minutes to post here in the Empire Distaff as we check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Taking a look at a couple long shots here in this race, Greg, as we'll take a look at number 5, No Hang, No Gain, who does come off of a stakes win up at Finger Lakes, albeit back in August, and catching up with assistant trainer to Steve Asmussen, Toby Sheets, who also co-owns this mare, as well as taking part in breeding her as well. So definitely a house horse, to say the least. And as he was saying, you know, she started wearing this extension blinker in the beginning of the year, and going back to that first performance back in January where she won by a lot, it really kind of did the trick. And yeah, historically, she's a bit of an in and outer, but he did say, I love her coming off layoffs, off freshenings, and she does look the part out there. I mean, she looks sensational. Granted, as I alluded to, you can't always judge a book by its cover in regards to her, but a long shot that looks as though she's doing well at 30-1, and then wow, at 53-1 might be. I mean, if you go back to last year, this filly would not likely be this price in here, I would think. She is coming off of an eased effort practically behind Radikowski, but the blinkers go back on. It was obviously a mistake to take them off in the first place here. She makes her second start for Bruce Levine. We'll see. I mean, she has to deal with Radikowski, which isn't going to be easy and out of orbit. There's other speed in here, and that's probably why she's the biggest price, but I just think it's interesting that we're putting the blinkers right back on after that disappointing effort in which she was a very short price in that race. So, like I said, long shots, obviously, but ones that are a little bit interesting. Craig?
I got to say, I mean, you look at the numbers for Might Be, they fit with a lot of the runners in this race, and she's 53-1.
And, you know, she had been very successful with blinkers. You know, I don't usually think they make that big a difference, but some horses they do. The blinkers were off for her return, off a lengthy layoff. Horrible run. Gets the blinkers back on. Can she find that form? Seems like she came back with a really good work. Last time 47-1 on the Belmont training track.
The other price horse I thought was interesting in here was the 8 Held Accountable. It's 23-1 right now. This is the horse that we mentioned during the post parade, was closing into those slower fractions when out of orbit, got loose, and the Saratoga Dew. So outside post, we'll probably need to try to find a way to save some ground and get inside, but one that could be running on late at 23-1, type of horse you'd want to key in the back end of a trifecta or a superfecta.
And, you know, Steve Asmussen is one of the best trainers we have in this game. He's got No Hang, No Gain, another long shot, 31-1, that maybe can get a piece of this.
Her sire, Haynesfield, won the Jockey Club Gold Cup here, trained by Steve Asmussen and Toby Sheets with the New York division, who does great work. Held Accountable, I find it interesting. All right, so Chester and Mary Broman have 3 horses they bred in this race, 2 of them that they own. If any one of the Broman bred or trained horses wins, will you accept a green tie for me to wear with that jacket?
A green tie. Yes. Yes, I will, because I need If Newly Minted wins, I'll wear the green tie.
Okay,
How about that?
fair enough, fair enough.
Have you ever worn a tie?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay, just
Do
not
you know
on
how
our
to tie
show.
it?
No, yeah, just not for the show.
I'll
yeah,
tie
no,
it
I can
for
tie
you.
it. No, I can do it.
I'll tie it for you.
I can do it. Funny enough, though, my dad still has to tie his ties on his leg, and he wears a tie to work every day, but he can't
Really?
do it around his neck. He's got to do it on his leg.
Whatever
That's
works.
interesting.
Our co-feature coming up. Newly Minted remains a 6-5 favorite, 3-year-old filly. She has never lost on the main track, trying to keep that record intact. Daughter of Central Banker for Linda Rice, Beach Haven Thoroughbreds, bred by Chester and Mary Broman. We'll see if she can handle taking on older company here this afternoon in the Empire Distaff as we send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for our co-feature. Here's Larry Colmus.
Here's No Hain, No Gain moving into line alongside of Radikowski. And that'll leave Take Charge Aubrey to complete the line here. Take Charge Aubrey coming up. And they're all in line. They're off in the Empire Distaff. Out of Orbit is sent out of there to show early speed with Radikowski. It's these two that kick on from Might Be, who came out running in third. The Newly Minted Take Charge Aubrey. No Hain, No Gain is back in sixth, about 6 lengths off the lead. They're being followed by Midnight Disguise, held accountable in behind them. Our Supernovas down on the inside. Unbridled Adventure and Bonita Bianca. The pace is very honest here, 22.79 contested opening quarter mile as Out of Orbit leads the way by 3/4 of a length over Radikowski. Newly Minted is tucked in behind Out of Orbit running in third. Then it's Might Be fourth on the outside. No Hain, No Gain is alongside of Take Charge Aubrey as they race toward the half-mile pole. Then Midnight Disguise, Our Supernova. Big gap back to Held Accountable. She must be 12 lengths off the lead. Then Bonita Bianca, an Unbridled Adventure. 45.71 was the half mile. Radikowski on the outside of Out of Orbit. Now pokes a neck in front. Newly Minted is right in contention. She's going to come 3 wide. No Hain, No Gain is next. And making a move up the rail is Our Supernova while Midnight Disguise comes wide. And they're into the stretch with Radikowski to catch. Newly Minted is 2 lengths behind her as they come to the final furlong. Down toward the inside, Our Supernova continues to make progress at a big price with a furlong to go. It's Radikowski in front. Our Supernova driving through at the fence. These 2 1-2s, they come down to the wire. Radikowski, Our Supernova's coming. These 2, Radikowski holds on over Our Supernova. Held Accountable was in a photo with Newly Minted for third.
Radikowski, she got tested late from long shot. Our Supernova hangs on. She's now won 3 in a row.
And she got it done with a scare from the inside, Our Supernova, which I think underscores how strong the inside is. That Our Supernova made it so close at the end. Very fast fractions early on.
Absolutely, and a lot of times people think when races like this go that fast, they're meant to fall apart. A lot of times when you go this fast, you stretch it out, and you can kind of stretch that speed out and get the other horses off the bridle. I thought that Radikowski was very impressive. A great ride by Jose. He's sneakily having a great day today, Jose Ortiz. And then, you know, the big favorite that we had in here, Newly Minted. She stumbled a little bit at the start and kind of got shuffled back and kind of had to move. She ran well enough in this spot. She shouldn't be embarrassed by this performance.
Radikowski, 3 consecutive wins. She's won 4 of 5. Daughter of Drosselmeyer. We'll be back to wrap this one up, bringing the nightcap next on Empire Showcase Day.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include Cutting Humor, winner of the Grade 3 Sunland Park Derby, plus 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, and international star Shamal Nibras. This year, his 2-year-olds have brought prices up to $310,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Run Happy, you know, he's 16-2, he's a beautiful horse. There's stamina on top and bottom, and he's stamping his horses with that. I think they look big and fast, and like horses that'll go on and run a distance as well as short.
He was a fantastic racehorse. If he passes on his ability as a racehorse, I think he's a slam dunk to be a great sire. Very athletic looking and beautiful bodied horse as well.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back at America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2 and MSG Plus. Our show brought to you in part by Run Happy. Now standing at Claiborne Farm for $25,000. Radikowski, she's now reeled off 3 consecutive victories as she takes the Empire Distaff here on Empire Showcase Day.
She has speed and she carries it. A late scare up the inside from our Supernova, but she kept on reaching and attending that pace, being outside every step of the way. I think you got to be pretty impressed with what she did.
No, absolutely. She's the type that you want to keep an eye on moving forward. Another one that could start to kind of test the open conditions.
Big performance. Jose Ortiz having a nice afternoon as well. Radikowski, $5.60 for the win. Our Supernova at a monster price, getting second and held accountable at 28-1. So 20-1 over 28-1 to complete your trifecta for 50 cents. It comes back $129. But Radikowski gets the job done as we head downstairs to Maggie.
And here with assistant/wife to Brian Lynch, Erin Lynch here, who brought Radikowski up from Kentucky. And Erin, she is firing on all cylinders this fall. Wow.
Yeah, she's just improving with every start. And kudos to Gary Brode for being so patient with her as a young horse and waiting till 5 to bring her back. And, you know, because she's just paid him back full on.
I mean, no kidding. To persevere with the horse until they're 5 to make their first start. I mean, you really had to observe some talent with her as well.
Absolutely. I mean, she's just phenomenal, and she's just amazing to be around. She just does everything right, and she carries the riders around there, and she just loves it.
Now I gotta say, as a physical, she's impressive. Probably the name Radikowski, model/actress, a little homage to her.
Yes, absolutely. She's named after Emily Radikowski. I'm not exactly sure on the story behind that, but yes, she is named after her. So if Emily ever decides to want to come and visit, I'm sure the boys would be pretty pleased.
Open invitation, I love it, Erin. And now you've conditioned her down in Kentucky and brought her back up here. And it seems as though shipping around does not bother her whatsoever either.
No, she ships very, very well. And I think she's gotten now where she's a little hip to it. She gets like her game face on. Yeah, she's pretty impressive to be around.
Well, Erin, congratulations. Job well done on a mare who has really, really stepped her game up.
Yeah, absolutely. She's so much fun. Thank you.
All right, Erin Lynch, assistant/wife to Brian Lynch, bringing Radikowski up. And guys, I know if Emily Radikowski is listening and she shows up at the barn, I think a lot of guys will be showing up to the Lynch barn.
That would be a popular place to be. Those that know the supermodel from the Blurred Lines video where she got super famous. But this 5-year-old mare got a little future in front of her as well.
Well, you got to really appreciate this mare, and you know exactly what she said about the owner, Gary Brode, to have this much patience and confidence that this mare now would repay him. I think she could step up and win a graded stake someplace.
I do. I think so as well, and I want to second that notion. Is it doesn't happen that often to wait till someone turns 5 years old before you debut them. Yeah. It's an expensive patience to have to wait that long.
Absolutely. You got to feed them and take care of them and train them for 5 years. And horses don't mature till the age of 5. She just needed a bit more time. You know, Drosselmeyer has not been a very successful stallion. Maybe they just needed to wait till they were 5.
Well worth the wait and having patience. You know, we've seen some great storylines with horses and trainers and owners who've been patient with those horses. Preservationists, another one. Jimmy Jerkins had to be so patient with this year. So we take a look at today's winners on Empire Showcase Day. Started out in the Maid of the Mist with Critical Value. Jeremiah Engelhardt winning that 2-year-old filly race. He ran 1-2 in the 2-year-old Colts race, winning with Captain Bombastic. And Build the Suit, maybe a horse we're going to see in Stakes Company next. Radikowski, maybe a horse we're going to see getting a test in Open Company Stakes races coming up.
Chad Brown with 2 wins and Jeremiah Engelhardt with 2 wins on this great day of racing on a beautiful autumn afternoon here.
Well, our ABR race of the week, we hope you join us tomorrow. It is the Grade 3 Athenia. And we're going to take a look at Simply Breathless, one of the main contenders in this group. This was in the Wilshire, Grade 3 win, and just her second state start, winning at 5-1 for Neil Drysdale.
She sat in there very, very patiently, right when she produces. One of those races where you can see her traveling actually faster than the rest of them visually from this pan view. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but she sat in there patiently. She came out. West Coast turf horses don't typically perform at a high level on the East Coast, but that hasn't always been the case this weekend. I saw a stakes winner yesterday at Keeneland that was a West Coast-based horse, so maybe Simply Breathless can do the job and represent for the West Coast out here tomorrow.
For Andina Del Sur, this was a first win in a long time for this 4-year-old filly. She got the job done at Monmouth in a stakes race back on September 28th.
Yeah, I thought she was impressive this day. She sat in there behind there. You see the silks of Peter Brandt up there in the front, and she's in the Don Alberto silks, and she just kept grinding away and got the job done. I prefer others, I think, out of that in this spot, but she ran well enough in here to get the job done down the coast at Monmouth.
Meanwhile, first and third place finishers from that September 22nd race here at Belmont will be back in action as well. Sweet By and By. She got the lead, saw fractions up front, was able to go gate to wire.
She did. She was got a slow pace to set on the front end. The one that I want out of this spot is Victorine, who was closing into that slow pace. It's one of the hidden trips in turf racing, finding horses from off that were closing in to slow paces.
That is coming up tomorrow. It's our ABR race of the week, Grade 3 Athenia. So we hope you join us on Sunday afternoon for more action. We have this trio back tomorrow.
Yeah,
we're back.
I think the 3 Musketeers back on the set.
All right, look forward to that. Maggie Wolfendale back with us as well. We're not done yet, though, this afternoon. We still have the nightcap coming up. In 7 furlongs on the turf, New York Bred's maiden special weight in here. Horse that we saw run very good yesterday. Sean BC came up just a little bit short. Worth a shot for Linda Rice. Ran second just behind that one last time out, and right now is the favorite here in our nightcap coming up. Stay tuned. One more here at Belmont on this Saturday afternoon on Empire Showcase Day.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
My love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Very One.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing 1-2. The Star Guitar filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing 1-2.
Feel my love for you coming on strong.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Practical Joke was all business. He won the home.
Practical Joke always showed a lot of ability. He showed a lot of heart, a lot of determination. Right from the first breeze, he identified himself as one of the best in his crop.
Practical Joke down to the wire, the Champagne.
Practical Joke took both the Hopeful and the Champagne Stakes. And he's a fast, tough,
precocious 2-year-old, trained on, showed even better form at 3.
It is Practical Joke in the Allen Jerkins.
He's going to be a horse that no commercial breeder can leave off their list.
Tom Durkin letting you know New York breds start with an advantage. At the sales, buyers pay up to 7 figures, and there's over $2 million in stakes money limited to New York sired horses in the New York Stallion Stakes Series, like the Park Avenue for 3-year-old fillies.
Newly minted wins it for fun.
For fun and money. The winner's share generates an additional $55,000 from the New York Breeding Fund.
Funny Guy's gonna do it.
Funny Guys winning the Times Square division generates the same money. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Almost always a top 5 trainer on the NYRA circuit, Linda Rice was the Saratoga Meets leading trainer in 2009, and she credits much of her success to the New York breds in her stable.
The New York Breeders' Program is a tremendous program.
So on opening day of the 151st meet at Saratoga Racecourse, no one was surprised to see Rice saddling the only New York bred in an open company allowance race.
And it's Vincento and Potomac out well.
Bettors let the New York bred go off at odds of 10-1, but the 6-year-old was sent to the lead early, then held off 2 late challengers.
And Vincento holds on 3/4 of a length on the wire.
Vincento's owner collects more than $50,000 for the win. Now you'll understand why Linda Rice buys New York breds for her clients.
It's an A other than, which is the benefit of having a New York bred, because he's made $380,000, most of those in New York Big Company, and then today he came back and won an A other than, an open company race with a $92,000 purse on it, and that's what keeps owners in the game, and that's what we try to do with the New York Bred program.
Well, Linda Rice, one of many trainers who takes advantage of this New York Bred program, and she had one of the favorites in a long, long time that we saw run earlier on the card. Has been a huge fan favorite, New York bred, Voodoo Song. Slowly getting back into form, running second today.
Ran well too, set fast fractions, but I think that's he runs best when he's allowed to run that way, like to really take it to them, kind of trying to bottom out fields. I think that's his strength, and they played to it, and he got beat by a good horse. You know, I mean, Gucci Factor's really okay, and last time would have been better off if you know, if he hadn't gotten left at the gate. He probably would have been right there.
Linda Rice sending out Worth a Shot here, our current favorite, coming up in the nightcap as we head to the paddock with Maggie.
Guys, and we'll take a look at the horse who is the main rival to Worth a Shot in here, and that's number 10, Clickatat, who on paper and kind of watching his previous races, I don't know if he is, well, A, in an advantageous spot where Worth a Shot is because he has the speed, and 2, Clickatat's turning back a bit in distance, and sometimes that just doesn't work out as he'll go from the mile to the 7/8 here. But if you're just comparing these two horses overall, I went Clickatat all day long for Worth a Shot. I'm kind of going against what I originally thought about this race, but Clickatat looks amazing. He looks by far the best here in the paddock. He's well muscled, and because he looks so strong behind the saddle, it's kind of making me believe that he might be okay going a shorter distance, and he's fairly sharp in here, and his coat is resplendent. He's dappled head to toe. So from the physical perspective, I much prefer Clickatat. As we'll move on to some longer prices, number 8, Disciplinarian, he'll step up in class. But last time out for the maiden 40, he was wired by a long shot in Big Wonder. But Disciplinarian was coming back off of an extended layoff that he looked as though he needed a race. While I was pretty optimistic about him handling the turf, in which he did, now, second off the bench, he's come up across that top line. His hindquarters look so much stronger. He's put on muscle mass. I think Disciplinarian could be up for taking that step up in class. Now, some other kind of fuzzies, if you will, include number 7, Freudian Fate, who does return to the turf where he made his debut, in which he got off quite slowly that day. And then we saw Xi'an BC in that race come back and run very well against winners yesterday, only beaten a neck, really. And looking at Freudian Fate, he was a lot quicker from the stalls last time out on the dirt. He does look more like a turf horse, honestly. He has very slack pasterns. He is a bit smaller, shorter coupled, so I don't know if the 7/8 necessarily helps him. but I'm intrigued to see a more experienced horse getting back on this surface. And then number 11 is Principal Dancer, also comes out of that race with Freudian Fade on the dirt. But this guy trying the turf for the first time, I think is quite intriguing. We've seen Central Bankers, they can kind of go either way as far as handling the surface, but his Damn Bunhead, while she was modest, she was a turf winner. And this guy actually does look very, very much turf meant as far as his foot and kind of pastern and leg are concerned. And on top of that, looks sensational here. I mean, him and Clickatat are definitely the ones that caught my eye very much so when I first walked into the paddock. So maybe it's the two favorites. Then again, maybe some long shots can make some noise, Greg.
We'll see what happens coming up. Worth a Shot looks awfully tough, 6-5. What do you guys talk about before the race?
I wouldn't talk to anybody. I didn't like them guys when I was riding with them. I swear to you, there was a bag of money laying there at the finish line, and I wanted to get to that bag of money before anybody else. I really wasn't that friendly.
But sometimes you can do that to engage and throw people off their game a little bit, too.
I wasn't that. I didn't think it through that much.
Okay.
I just went out there with a mean face on.
I'd have been out there, man. I'm going straight to the front. Straight to the front.
Sitting in the gate one day, and the rider next to me looks over and says, "You got any speed?" I said, "Don't you read the racing form?"
Is that a true story?
Yeah. I didn't get invited to many barbecues, but I couldn't eat anyway.
And it's incredible because you're the nicest guy, but I guess back then you were all intensity.
I was hangry.
Wanted to win.
And I was hungry, too. I couldn't eat.
Well, Jose Lezcano is going to ride this one here. This is Worth a Shot. Was a 4-5 favorite back on September the 8th. The most recent race got beat by a horse named Sean BC, who we saw came back just the other day and run a very good second.
He did. I'm looking forward to watching this horse. Got the Barry Schwartz silks on, the white and black. This horse is a half to Voodoo Song. Excuse me, a full to Voodoo Song. It's always fun to root for those connections in that horse. Ran well here. I liked what you talked about with the key race with Sean BC coming back and winning. I believe it was yesterday.
Running second.
Running second, excuse me. But running well, and that kind of makes you feel like this performance was better. The speed figure is fast as well. This one exits.
You know, it's interesting, too. I mean, you think about the way Voodoo Song looks and then the way this horse looks, and there is Barry Schwartz. You know, we talk so much today about Chester and Mary Broman. Barry and Cheryl Schwartz and their Stonewall Farm, I think those are the two biggest breeders in the state of New York, the Bromans and the Schwartzes. And think about how different this horse looks, Worth a Shot does compared to Voodoo Song, who's a chestnut with white markings. But the mother, Mystic Chant by Unborrowed Song, that's where she gets the gray from. And I just hope that they don't get it stuck in their head that this horse has to be a part of the pace because Voodoo Song runs that way. They don't look the same. I have 4 children. They're all different. You got to let them be individuals.
Well, it's been at least close to the pace early. First couple of starts on turf, Worth a Shot. We'll see what the tactics are today as we look at Clickatat, who looks to be the main rival to your favorite here in this race for Jimmy Jerkins, and will slightly cut back in distance from 1 mile to 7/8 today.
I typically hate cutbacks on turf sprints. I feel like horses have to run a lot faster, but it's different here in New York. When you can go from the mile or the mile and a 16 to 7, it's not nearly as drastic as some jurisdictions where you're going down to the 5.5, or if you're at Saratoga, you're going down to the 5.5.
And they blitz. They kind of sweep them off their feet. The 7/8s, they still have a chance to kind of get in the race the right way.
So 7-2, Javier Castellano will be back aboard. And this one was a favorite last time out as well here at Belmont. Did run a good race and was second behind, in front of, I should say, a horse who would come back to win next time out.
Jimmy Jerkins does great work. This horse looks really good here. Short leaf stable, John Ed Anthony. It shows you that even stables that are based elsewhere are looking for New York breds because they understand the value and how many races we run in the purse structure for the New York breds.
Yesterday, I had a bold prediction, not that bold, that there was 4 horses in the race that I thought had to win the race, and they didn't. I'm gonna double down here. I think the 1 or the 10 have to win this race.
I think there's a third horse, and I think it's Disciplinarian, but we'll talk more about the 8 in a moment. Here's Worth a Shot, 3-2, Jose Lezcano.
Brother to a Grade 1 winner, has run well in his last all of his starts on the turf, excuse me, and should be tough from the inside.
Well, David Donk sends out Disciplinarian. He also sends out this one, the Honest Tune, Eric Cancel.
This horse has won turf race. He was fairly far back, and he came running. He'd need to get a little more involved.
Clear the ramp, 17-1, Dylan Davis.
This horse was 25-1 in his last 2 starts for 40. Now going to have to try to face horses maiden special weight. Not an easy move.
Robbie Davis, he sends out Dancers for Token, who gets on the turf for the first time.
Gets on the turf for the first time, drops out of the Albany, very ambitious spot last time, and this horse kind of intrigues me. I think there's a little turf pedigree there.
Yeah, 40 and Fate did not run bad at all in his debut. It came on turf against Worth a Shot.
And this is a horse that could improve. Connections that the trainer, I should say, that I'm not that familiar with.
Yeah, Henry Burnett Armstrong's only sent out 4 horses this year. Here's the 8 disciplinarian, 7-2, David Donk.
It's the horse that you mentioned a little bit earlier. My issue here is this horse spent time in that kind of nice pocket trip versus Lesser. Couldn't get the job done. Deeper waters today.
46-1 on Master Prize. Blinkers going on for start number 2.
Beaten 11.5 lengths, moves up in class, adds blinkers. Have to show me more.
Click-a-tat, 7-2. Here's the one for Jimmy Jerkins by First Samurai.
From a class standpoint, it's one of the ones I think can win. Little concerned, the pace figures are slow going longer. I hope this one doesn't fall too far back.
And the James Bond Barn sending out a Son of Central Banker, Turf for start number 2.
Yeah, Turf will have to move this horse up considerably. Left a lot to be desired in his first start, but Jimmy Bond is a trainer. Horses do improve.
So 17-1 on Principal Dancer on a gorgeous Saturday evening here on Empire Showcase Day. And we've seen some really fun races here this afternoon.
Just a great day of racing, brilliant weather. You know, to be autumn in New York and to be at Belmont Park with a card like we get to see, great competitive racing. We're very privileged.
Well, one of my favorite parts about today is I like seeing connections be rewarded. The connections of Radikowski, who waited till that horse was 5 and ready to rock. The Bromans, who put so much into this New York bred game, having such a great day with 2 wins and a breeding win as well. So, look, I like the good stories. We all love this game, and it's fun to see people have some success that do the game the right way.
Absolutely.
We saw some rising stars here, not just 2-year-olds, but horses that we could see certainly jump into graded stakes, open company next time out.
Yeah,
Build
absolutely.
a suit, maybe one of them.
Absolutely. These are horses that are showing how good they are, and they can take that next step. And, you know, when I was a kid coming around New York breds, you could distinguish a New York bred from the other horses. They weren't as big. They weren't as good looking. We didn't have the same kind of program. You know, the stallions didn't stay here, and we have a very strong roster of stallions. Now they go all over the world and compete at grade 1 level. So I think you saw a few today that could take that next step.
Compete and win and more than hold their own. It's diversify.
Yeah.
One of the many New York breds who we've seen win at the grade 1 level over
Funny
the last
Side,
few years.
a Kentucky Derby winner.
And the connections of Funny Side, Barclay Tag, Sakatoga Stable might have the best 2-year-old in the land right now with Tis the Law.
I like that horse. He's tough. He shows that he's gritty. He can sit in there, take dirt, get bounced around, and he gets mad. He doesn't back off. He gets mad. Good horses get mad.
Still a little green, huh, too? Don't you think so?
Still a little green, but he also got to turn a foot. He accelerates when he's asked.
Take a look at the top New York bred earners of all time. Mind Your Biscuits topping that list. Funny Side, 16 years ago, first ever New York bred to win the Kentucky Derby.
Funny Side was tough. He was mean.
He still is.
He still is. I went to visit him at the horse park. He turned his back to me. I mean, you know, we won races together, dude. Can't say hello.
Mind Your Biscuits, his performance in Dubai, I think it was a day Arrogate won. It was phenomenal. He was, I mean, a really, really good horse.
Yeah.
Say Florida Sandy on that list. It was a fun one.
Sandy.
Very good for a long time.
Really good. A good friend of mine, Sanford Bacon, who is from Florida, say Florida Sandy, bred him, owned him early on. Then he was claimed and went on. Actually won the Mike Lee on him here for my buddy Sandy. But you know, horse that showed up for like 7 years. He just kept reeling off wins.
Nightcap coming up. So 3-2 on Barry Schwartz. Worth a shot here, the full to Voodoo Song.
I just would like to hear why you like disciplinarian. Talk to me, because he ran so well on the turf last time.
Well, I just think that race was sneaky good. I mean, that was off a 7-month layoff. They finally get the horse on the turf and didn't have a good break from the gate at all. I mean, had every excuse to really not run in that race.
Right, and then came running and just missed. I picked the 5, guys.
I think we're going to see improvement from that horse second time on the grass. 4-1 right now in the 8.
31-1. I'm swinging for the fences. I'm trying to get out here.
My long shot will be the 3. And here's an interesting way to play this race. A lot of times people ask, well, what do I do if I like the 2 favorites? One thing that you can do here is you can play a trifecta wheel where you go 110 with 110, and then you use some of those long shots in that second spot.
All underneath.
Well, I don't ever use the all button. I feel like it's
okay. All right.
I feel like you can. I'd rather use 3 horses and hit repeat twice than use the all button.
Okay, interesting. Wow.
I think the one horse we've kind of gone through who we think. Look, the main 2 contenders, obviously the 1 and the 10 in here. A couple others, maybe the figure in the mix. Do you guys give Freudian Fate the 7 a look at all? Faced the favorite first time out, and that was that horse's debut. Luis Saez now aboard.
I do. They started on the turf. It wasn't bet that day, but obviously they thought there was a reason to start there on the turf, and then came back and ran really well on the dirt, and then finally gets back to the turf. All of those times was made in the special weight, was protected. In these races, it matters. I don't like horses that ran for tags that are now running against horses that have never run for tags.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm taking the 5 because this horse's first 2 races weren't bad. And I like Big Browns on the turf, and drops out of the Albany, which absolutely had no chance whatsoever. Gets some weight off with the apprentice, Joey Martinez, who has shown to be a strong finisher. I'm swinging for the fences. I've watched this horse train. He's trained well. I know it's kind of a crazy pick, but stranger things have happened.
Did you catch the turf work?
I was not there for the turf work. I'm going on faith.
Mig, where were you at if you weren't there for the turf work?
That was the 16th of September. I wasn't up there that day. Wasn't the 16th of August?
You jockeys just don't like getting up early in the morning, do you?
Oh, yeah, no.
You've been hitting the pavement early.
Yeah, my jockey, Declan Carroll's beat me out here, and I'm an early guy. I get here, and he's already been to several barns.
Here's your 5, acting up a little bit.
He's feeling good.
It's the pressure. He knows the pressure that Mig picked him now.
I don't like that when they act up at the gate, but I'm committed.
Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
And guys, this is a behavior with the 5 Dancers for Token that's carrying over from the paddock. He was really bad to get the tack on as well. Now he doesn't want to load in the gate. Now they're going to put the chain over his nose just to kind of get his attention a little bit more as far as the assistant starters. And now we see Joey Martinez hopping off. They'll open the front of the gates. This horse is just fairly obstinate. And 2, he actually looks as though he bit his tongue when they were trying to get the tack on. So for me, expending a little too much energy, but I do see where Mig likes him. There's some turf pedigree. Greg?
Last in line, here's Principal Dancer. Here's a nightcap on Empire Showcase Day. We sent it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
Principal Dancer going in, and they're all in line. They're off. And it is Freudian Fade out quickly with Clear of the Ramp on the inside. Dancers for Token goes up between those 2. Disciplinarian came out running in 4th. Then Clickatat, Worth a Shot. Break of 2.5 back to Principal Dancer. And it's 5 lengths to the Honest Town and Master Prize. Up the backstretch they go. And it is Clear of the Ramp and Dancers for Token. Locked in early battle here. Freudian Fate is 3rd through a 22.78 quarter. Worth a Shot is 4th and riding the rail, 2.5 lengths off the lead. Clickatat is 5th alongside. Disciplinarian right in behind them. Principal Dancer is 8 lengths off the lead. The Honest Town and Master Prize at the rear of the field. The battle continues between Clear the Ramp and Dancers for Token. Freudian Fate is close to them. Clickatat is going up on the outside. Worth a Shot is in behind the leaders after a 45.85 half mile. Then it's 2 lengths back to Disciplinarian, who's just 5 lengths off the lead. As a tight pack makes their way to the top of the stretch. Freudian Fate up and after the lead on the outside. Worth a Shot goes right with Freudian Fate. These 2 now with Worth a Shot taking the lead. Clickatat is trying to put in a bid too with Disciplinarian on the far outside. The Honest Town has made progress down toward the rail, but Worth a Shot is running away. Worth a Shot and Jose Lescano pulling away with each and every stride, and they're going to win by about 6 lengths in the end over Clickatat. Then Disciplinarian and the Honest Town.
Well, he might have a little voodoo in him in here. Worth a Shot breaks his maiden career start. Number 4 for Linda Rice with Jose Lescano.
And did it well, and I like the fact that they set a little bit off the pace with him. You said midway through the race, Jonathan, he's loaded. He was. Great job by Jose Lescano to get off the rail when the opportunity presented itself, and he did his big brother, Voodoo Song, proud here.
Look, I think that he could end up in a spot where, you know, a lot of times in New York, we get these longer distance races that don't have a lot of pace in them. I think the next spot we see him in could be at a mile and the 16th. He could find himself on the lead. If he'll relax and kick home like that, he's got a future.
Yeah.
Worth a shot, 4-5. 121-4 for the 7/8.
Very impressive through the final furlong. When you see this kind of separation in turf races, it's a dominant performance. My pick was not worth a shot.
No, tough one for Dancers for Token in here. 110.83. Your two main contenders, they run 1-2 in here, but a long way back to your second place finisher. This was a big effort from Worth a Shot, and a horse to certainly keep your eyes on going forward.
Absolutely, he's got a future, and you know, it took his brother a little while to really get into stride. This horse is actually a little bit ahead of the curve if you think about Voodoo Song, and good to see Barry and Cheryl Schwartz get in the winner's circle on New York Showcase Day with a homebred.
His other brother's pretty good too, Singapore Trader. We saw, I get these days mixed up. I think it was yesterday.
It all starts to blend together at some point. We still have some big one. There's Barry Schwartz. So I got another nice one here, and picture time is Worth a Shot. Closes out this card with a victory. Still coming up. Not quite over yet in terms of a championship for Maximum Security. He's going to try and do a little more work before all the votes are tallied. We're going to see him in the Bold Ruler October the 26th right here at Belmont Park, and use that as a stepping stone to the Cigar Mile.
Well, the Cigar Mile certainly could help his resume towards a championship, depending on what happens in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, you know, I don't think that he's necessarily the type of horse that wants to cut back. A lot of times you see these kind of forward types that you think, oh, they're going to like that one-turn mile. Some of his best performances were in a slow-paced mile in an 8th race in the Florida Derby, and then what he did in the Haskell at a mile and an 8th,
yeah.
and then obviously what he did in the Kentucky Derby before he's taken down.
All right, we'll see. DQ'd out of Kentucky Derby victory, but came back, showed that he was still probably the leader of that division with that victory in the Haskell.
But I think he's been surpassed now by Code of Honor.
I would agree.
On the strength of that victory in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
You were telling us good Barry Schwartz stories today. Do you think Calvin Klein helped with those designing those silks?
Yeah, it's a good question. I have no idea, but it kind of has that sleek lines like a designer, you know. But those are famous colors around here. They've been getting in the winner's circle for well over 30 years now.
There's the Schwartz is coming to the winner's circle along with Linda Rice.
Now, actually, though, he doesn't have Barry's helmet on. Barry's helmet is black and white, and he likes his jockeys to use his helmet cover. And that one's solid black. He likes it black and white. He wants it the way he designed it.
Is Jose in trouble, you think?
He might say something to him, but nah, he won't be in trouble. Not when you win. You're never in trouble when you win.
Worth a Shot, $3.80. Late pick 5 comes back $535. Carryover, growing, $144,000 in the Empire 6. This is what the late pick 5 came back. If you could come up with this sequence, the tough one in there, Captain Bombastic, biggest price at $15.
Jonathan liked him. I'll follow Jonathan.
Yeah, but I didn't like Radikowski or Pause for the Cause, so one of you guys is going to have to buy dinner.
Squad Man gets the job done, eking out a win over Goofy One in our Showdown contest. Again, get involved with the Showdown each and every day on the program. Not risking any of your own money. You're competing for real prizes, so good luck to everyone. No excuse not to play. Our ABR Race of the Week, that is tomorrow on the program. Grade 3 Athenia. We hope to see you tomorrow right back here at Belmont Park with these three amigos going after it again. Maggie Wolfadale will be with us as well. Hope you enjoyed our show. We're back Sunday 2 Eastern on Fox Sports 2, 4 Eastern on MSG+. It was Mr. Buff, the big old boy, 5-year-old, getting the job done in the Empire Classic, turning the tables on Pat on the Back, who beat him in this race last year, winning for the 11th time in his career. And Radikowski, she's now reeled off 3 consecutive wins. She's been worth the wait. Did debut into her 5-year-old campaign. Could be bigger and better things next. We'll see you tomorrow.